Hypocrisy.
I love refrigerators.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Law-Splaining the Interwebs. I'm your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota. And with me today is my very special guest, Ty Beard. How's it going, buddy?
Man, it's going great. How you doing?
Oh, God, how much time do you have?
It was rhetorical. Go ahead. I've had one of those weeks, so you can commiserate. That's fine.
Me too. I'm let's see. I'm at about day 11 or 12 of post-COVID symptoms starting, and they're largely gone. But I'm still exhausted.
Oh.
And I'm so old. I'm so old that I hurt my back doing nothing. Like Ty, I have joined
That's
the
too
legion of ancient men.
That's too bad.
I don't know if I heard it coughing or so yesterday my kids are like, "Can you make dinner?" I haven't. You had COVID.
Yep.
Sounds like what you had. You said
that weakness stuff is a beating.
Yeah. So I've been just in bed for like a week.
Yeah.
And so the kids are like, "Can you make us dinner?" And I'm like, "Yeah, because they've eaten all the mac and cheese in the house."
Okay.
Right?
Ooh.
They've eaten all the stuff that they can make.
Talk about your crisis when you run out of mac and cheese and you got kids. That's
yeah. So I'm like, okay, I've got chicken, I've got onions, I've got peppers. I'm gonna make chicken fajitas. So I get this big cast iron pot that weighs, like 25 pounds, and I have to put it down into the sink because I last used it to make chicken noodle soup, and I had to wash it out. And so I set it down in the sink, and then I immediately went to bed, because I couldn't move. And
you threw your back out by lifting a pot.
I don't know if it was lifting the pot or if I just coughed at some point, and did it that way. But from that point on, I couldn't.
Sorry, I'm laughing with you, not at you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my story.
I'll remember this. And and so I'm like dying in bed, and the kids are like, "Dad, make food."
Right. They don't want to hear about your pains and stuff. They're hungry, and that's.
I can't even stand. I can't stand up. So I eventually do. Like, I go through this intense pain to get myself out of bed. I'm walking around like this, stirring with one hand as I'm cooking this thing. And
you're doing I hurt my back walk, which is kind of a twisty. Yeah.
And so I make this food. They're really good chicken fajitas. I make these fajitas, and then I leave the pot there, and I just go, I'm going back to bed. And I go back to bed, and Kayla's sitting in our bed, and I said, "Your turn. You go serve them."
I'm dying. Please stop. Please.
And please bring me back a minuscule portion because I need to eat something. And so, she does. And then I spent the worst night of my known life last night, in and out of various fever dreams, because anytime I moved, my back would hurt. Like my whole left side of my back just lights up on fire. And it's been like that for most of the day. It's muted now. It's muted now, but
to anybody that's never had back trouble, you can't appreciate how debilitating it can be. I remember one time I was actually on the phone with opposing counsel on a deal, and it was pretty contentious. And I said, "Look, we need to punt this for tomorrow or the next day because my back is hurting and it's really affecting my judgment and my attitude." I said, if you want me to agree to some concessions, we're going to have to bump this because it's hard to, it's hard to think. It's hard to be positive. I haven't had a good back throw out in a while, but yeah.
Oh, I doxed Lady Rackets' real name. No. Oh well.
Yeah, well,
Everybody already knew, but it's okay. Yeah, no, it's really annoying because I was recovering. Like I've been recovering very well the past 2 days. I don't feel sick anymore.
yeah,
I'm tired, but so you know, the
yeah,
fatigue is mean, but you just got to get over that, and everything's been okay. But then pile that on. We are on my alternate channel today.
yes,
We are on my alternate channel today because YouTube is a bitch.
yes, they are.
It's a big, fat, stupid bitch. The dumbest, fattest bitch I've ever seen. That's YouTube. And I hate them, and I hope they catch on fire, metaphorically and literally.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
So
it's just, oh, well, but the funny thing is, I went to your YouTube channel and there was nothing there that I saw that indicated you had been stricken, but
No, there isn't. That's the nefarious and nasty part of it. I can't post any messages or any videos or anything to let people know that I am unless it gets overturned, I cannot stream over there for a week. I can't post anything. So that
Well.
it's just and what they said it was election misinformation, Ty.
election, the
It's been and
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So here's what happened on Monday. Let's see, of last week. So a week ago Monday, almost 2 weeks ago now. I came back from the art show that Lady Raggets and I went to. We went to the art show and then we came back and I did a stream. And someone asked me about the Arizona audit report.
Mm-hmm.
And so I talked about the audit report, and I mentioned true facts about the audit report. I mentioned how they undermined the audit report by releasing a chunk of the preliminary report prior to the whole thing coming out. That's what I said. And then I said, but it doesn't really matter because the audit report, no matter what it says, won't matter. It can't change the outcome of the election. There's not a mechanism to do so, which is not only true, but that is fully within YouTube's guidelines on how to talk about the
and
election.
it's self-evident.
Yeah. And they said that was misinformation. And I'm like, what the hell do you want me to say? Like, this is like the audit report happened and it won't have any effect on the election. That's not controversial.
No, no, this was a hit. Some shithead decided to throw their weight around. I'm assuming this is the kind of thing that a human being had to make.
I don't know. This one might actually be automated.
Yeah.
So
they need to
we'll
get
see.
better at that. I keep hoping, and I don't think the hope is completely meritless. I keep hoping that the Supreme Court will just simply say, look, you know what? These social media platforms, they're subject to the First Amendment because they're a public forum. That would solve this problem completely. It really would. Now, and now there would be some negative consequences as there are with free speech. But that's I'm kind of hopeful. The Trump has sued Twitter to give him access back to Twitter, and
Yeah, he's gonna lose, I think.
yeah, possibly. What did you know?
He's sued as a class action,
Yeah,
and it
that's-
doesn't make any sense because he is
What
not
court
part
is
of
he
any
in?
class.
No, what court is he in? I mean,
Florida, right? He'd probably be in Southern District of Florida, I guess.
He might. I mean, a lot's going to depend on which district he's in. I think because and remember he's sure. I don't know about Florida, but I mean he's stacked a lot of these districts with conservative judges. It would be amusing if they would just let it go, because I'd love to see the discovery.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, I mean, I don't care if he loses.
Yeah,
If he
yeah,
if he
I
were to
just
get
want-
to Discovery, that'd be hilarious. But I don't.
Yeah,
think
I just want to see. I want to see the request for production. Yeah, Lord Shulk in the chat goes, but Ty, it's a private company. Whee!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fuck your,
That's
my private company bullshit. It's not a
It's-
private
well, it's
company. It's
not
an
anymore.
arm of the enemy.
yeah. It's
You
it's
know?
not even that. It's an arm of the government.
Yeah.
I mean, the
yeah.
fact that
Well,
the fact
you
that
say
it-
potato, I say potato. I mean,
Yes, I just
Government
want to be
enemy,
clear
you know.
what enemy we're talking about.
yeah, that's
the
true.
enemy
that's
of
true.
the people.
Yeah, I was not specific in that
Yeah.
characterization.
Okay, so I see a super chat that I have to address, even though there's no text. It's from Rosset. Thank you, Rosset. Rosset sent me an MRE. Okay.
Oh, cool.
It would be cool, but I have bad news. It was stolen because some motherfucker set up an auto forward to an apartment in New Jersey, and my
Man.
my post office person was like, "Oh, I figured you were on a work trip." I'm like, "To an apartment in New Jersey?
What?
Like, it's not like a Holiday Inn; it's an apartment building."
Is that a new thing now? You go to these mailbox, etc. places or whatever, and forward the mail, and they just go, "Well, okay."
Yeah,
mean-
so it's U.S. Post Office. I mean, it's not like a random place. So now they have to report it to the Postmaster General and all this stuff. It's
let's
it's
hope
like a
someone-
federal crime.
Let's hope that someone it winds up on cell block D in the federal pen because of this. But
But yeah,
that just sucks, Beavis.
I know. I'm like, and I was like, well, what'd they get? And they're like, I don't know. And then I
Yeah,
was like, wait, the only package, because I went to the post office today. I got a whole bunch of stuff because I haven't been there in like 10 days from
'Cause you've had
freaking
the-
COVID.
Yeah.
And so, I go.
Or
and
as I
pick up
like
all
to
this
say,
stuff.
commie virus. You had the commie virus.
Yes, the China virus, the Wu flu.
That really pisses lefties off, I've noticed, when I refer to it as the commie virus. I mean,
Yes.
who knows why? I mean, but it really does piss them off. So, of course, I, use that term a lot.
Yeah, but so Rosset, man, I'm sorry, my post office lady feels really bad about it when
Yeah.
she's like, oh, I thought you set that up. It was set up online. I was like, no. Can I get it so that it never changes unless I'm here in person?
Then I show you identification or in some way validate the fact that I'm who. Yeah. Oh God.
If you think about how this is, anybody can go online and fill
Yeah.
out a change of address, forwarding address thing for the post
Oh,
office. All you
shit,
have to
yeah.
do is, like, it never even occurred to me.
Oh my God! You know what the implications for things like service of process, because in federal court, they don't, you don't have to send a process server. They just send it certified mail or whatever they call it.
Registered mail, right?
Yeah.
Because certified, you just don't sign it.
Yeah, we had we had the COVID sweep through our office, and our office manager got it and had a really nasty case of it, and there was a glitch, and I'm the registered agent on a number of companies, and a certified letter came in and didn't get routed to me, got put on her desk, and it did. Fortunately, we didn't miss a deadline or anything, but I implemented procedures to ensure that didn't happen. But yeah, I mean, golly, it's a new world in the post office. I mean, I bet that'll be a coming. Oh, I'm sorry you missed your MRE. I'm a bit of an MRE nerd myself. I have to admit.
Oh my God.
Oh
You-
yeah.
So
I actually.
Ty, I found your TV show. I found your TV
Okay.
show. It's part of the reason I was late. I do apologize to the stream. I'm going to explain everything. So, Lady
all
Raggets
shall
and
be
I,
revealed.
Lady Raggets and I have been watching The Expanse, which is fine, but we didn't have time for a second episode before the show. So I was just sitting there, and she's like, "Oh, my cousin told me I have to watch this other show." And she starts watching it, and it's called Love on the Spectrum. And it's a documentary about autisms in Australia looking for love. And Ty, it is probably the best TV that exists. It should not exist.
I can't be part of that.
It should not exist. I don't want it to exist. I'm going to hell because I was watching it.
Yes, yes, you
It-
are.
And I'm like, how on earth was this okay for them to make this?
Oh my God.
Like, how is this an okay thing?
Yeah,
Oh
no
my
kidding.
God.
Is it on a streaming service? I guess it must
Yeah,
be.
it's on either Netflix or Amazon, one of the two.
Oh my gosh, that's well, I don't know if I ever told you. I have a number of friends with children, autistic children.
Yeah.
And I actually one of my good friend's wives beat out of me the term retard. I was using, all
Yeah.
the various iterations, the libtard, fucktard, and
Yeah, you don't
yeah,
you
she
don't
came
do that
and
when
she,
you got friends like.
well, I never thought about it. I mean, she came to me and she's like, that's really offensive, and I went, oh, it probably is, and so I started, at that time, especially, I had kind of a wild Facebook group of friends, and I really had to get onto some people, and I didn't make a big, posturing deal about it. I did it in private messaging. I said, hey, stop using that word. My
Right.
son's, and then, well, no, I'm not asking. I'll do, this is, you're not going to insult people, my people, and most people were like, oh, I didn't, you just don't think about it. So
Right.
yeah,
Well, because most people
so-
don't mean anything offensive by it.
No, it's just a generic insult.
Yeah.
But okay, so in an environment where that's actually there's broad agreement that those terms are deeply offensive, how on earth could any streaming service?
I don't know, because it's like a circus. It's like a circus sideshow,
can-
and these
No.
these awkward guys and ladies are talking about finding love, and it's amazing. The one guy was speed dating, and he's like, I like collecting toys, and she's like, oh, vintage toys. He's like, no, Thomas the Train. And I was like, it was so funny. It killed Ty's camera.
What on earth just happened?
Did you click the stop camera?
I don't, not intentionally, but anything's possible. Yeah, apparently I did. That's interesting. There we go. I'm sorry, Nick. I'm done. I gotta go.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
look at the time.
Anyway, so that's why I was late, because I was sitting there watching this thing, just like they cannot make this show. They can't
Oh.
do it.
Well, they're very highly selective, obviously. Yeah.
Well, the
one of
best
things we
part
get-
is I know that everybody on the show watches my show. They have to.
Of course. Well, we are going to have to discuss Dave Chappelle's latest Netflix special, which may be the greatest hour of television I've ever watched and listened to. But that's a different, we can get to that later, I guess. Now, I was noticing in the chat, people are going, yeah, Ty, lost respect. Now, listen, you don't insult people's children, okay? I mean, it's just basic courtesy. And this is not virtue signaling on my part or grandstanding or that kind of thing. I'm just not going to say things that I know to be offensive to people I like,
Well, that's just how you.
Well, I mean, I'll say it too. I'll offend Nick, of course, but I did specify
think
people.
so, huh? You think
well,
you'll
I
offend me?
specified. Well, I mean, I'll try.
Yeah. What? Uh-huh.
Good luck.
You think so?
Good luck, Buster. Hey, by the way, no one has complained about volume because
yet.
I have a boom mic thingy. Ho
Yeah.
ho ho.
Well,
Whatever
no
you
one's
call this
complained about you pounding on the table, which was the big problem.
thing. Was that the yeah?
It's like every time
I keep forgetting to bring my cane home so that I can wave it about on your show. Damn it! I never do that.
I need the cane right now. You know what's been the worst part of my day? Hiccups.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
my God.
I've had. I don't know what the. I don't know anything. First of all, what's bizarre is doctors don't actually apparently know anything about the back.
No.
I mean, apparently that is like a giant black hole of utter mystery. Because it'll be like, what's wrong? Well, you might have pinched a nerve. You might have thrown this out. You might have, and it's like, you've literally described the entire population of possibilities.
Right.
What is wrong with me?
I hurt
Yeah.
here and then everywhere.
Yeah.
What's
You know,
wrong?
and they, well, Ty, I wish we knew. It's, yeah. So I don't know why the back is so mysterious, but nobody really apparently knows. And of course, when you're in pain, you don't really care so much about why. You just like, give me some relief.
Well, I was gonna go to the urgent care today.
Yeah.
So I got a conspiracy for you. They tried to use me to pump up the COVID hospitalization numbers.
Okay.
Because no, I'm serious. So me and Lady Rackets, we were sick, and I mean we were in pretty nasty shape for several days, right? And you know what they say, right? Well, these monoclonal antibodies, that's the treatment. Well, they wouldn't give them to us.
Okay.
So first of all, they would never call. And so I finally got there was no phone number to call these nurses. So I called the hospital, the hospital, and then I waited, and then they're like, we have to send a message to the nurses and they'll get back to you. So then the nurses get back to us and they tell Lady Raggets, well, you've had symptoms for longer than 10 days, so you don't get it. And then I'm like, tell them I've only had symptoms for 8 days. And they said, yeah, well, he is under 65 and he has a BMI under 25. Therefore, he doesn't get it either. And so it's like, and she's like, but he could really use some treatment. And they're like, well, is he a smoker? No. Is he diabetic? No. Does he have anything? And since I didn't have any of these comorbidities, they're just like, well, you don't get it, which I guess that's what they're going to do. But so then I'm like, well, here's the thing.
Can't you just wait to put these people in charge of all of your medical stuff?
Yeah. Well, then I'm like, here's the problem. I feel like I have a lump in my lung. I think there's some fluid in there. I want to make sure I don't have pneumonia or something. Mm-hmm. And they said, okay, well, we'll set up appointments for you guys at your doctor. And so we get appointments set up. And about 40 minutes after we get the appointment set up, they send me a message that they've canceled the appointments and told us to go to the ER instead. And I'm like, for what? Like, I'm not dying. I don't need to go to the ER. I need treatment.
I don't need to be.
Yeah, I need maybe like an X-ray. Maybe. They probably just need to listen to my lung and then prescribe me an antibiotic. Because if I've got some bacterial infection, antibiotic will knock that out, and that's fine. But they wouldn't do it, and I'll be damned if I'm going to the fucking ER and pumping up their stupid hospital numbers.
Well, yeah, and of course, Lord knows what you'll bring home from the ER. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. So
I got nothing on that.
Well, so they've completely destroyed any faith I had in any of this symptom in any of the system, because it's like they wanted me to go take up a hospital bed when someone else could come in who's actually dying. But if you go to the ER, you're going to be there a minimum 6 hours.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? The ER is, I mean. Have you ever gone to the ER and gotten immediate? Well, I mean, I know of cases where someone was actually really badly hurt and they got treated, but it's, you're going to be there for a long time, and
you can get into our ER pretty quick because we're a small town, and usually you're going to go there. You might wait 10, 15 minutes, and then they'll get you into a bed. It's not usually packed, but it doesn't matter because once you get in there, you're just going to be sitting in a bed. Waiting for the one or two ER doctors to come around. And then it's like, I don't want to be sitting in a bed if someone comes in with like an arm torn off or something, or a bullet wound. And I'm sitting there, or someone comes in with like a real COVID problem. Like, all I need someone to listen to my lung and give me a prescription so I can go to the pharmacy. This is easy.
Here's a pro tip for the chat. If you get the opportunity to become friends with your primary care doctor, you should do that.
Yeah.
Because, well, I mean, I've done that, and especially in times like these, those friendships are worth their weight in gold. I mean, and because, you can text them, you can text your friend and say, hey, help.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, I don't, and I mean, that's just part of getting along in this world. You should always try to build relationships with people that can be helpful in critical situations. I've always said everybody ought to have a good relationships with their doctor, a mechanic, their barber or hairstylist, like that, because when you really need those people, you need those people. I saw in there somebody was suggesting a chiropractor. I have some clients who are chiropractors, and I don't for a moment believe some of the more extreme claims that I hear. I think what they really are is they're just really intense deep tissue massages, but they can relieve pain. I remember one time I had a very important presentation I had to give on a thing, and I get up and I had some just that nerve in your neck, but it did the same kind of thing that your back is doing to you. I'm just kind of going, oh shit. So I called him and I said, hey man, I know you're.
Can you imagine? Ty with like the pinched nerve, just like this all the time.
Oh yeah. I'm like, yeah.
Let's negotiate. I'm in a good mood.
Yeah. Yeah. So I called him up. I said, help. And he said, come on in, and he beat on. He worked me over. And when he got through, I wasn't in pain. Well, I mean, I wasn't in pain from that.
No, yeah, you see, that's the thing. I know a really good chiropractor in the Twin Cities. He's the guy. When my buddy and I did a marathon, he gave us free treatment.
Okay.
For anything related to the marathon, free treatment as long as we would, do a couple social media posts and just help him get the word out about his practice. And he's great. He's super cool. And he is easily the best chiropractor I've ever been to. He can crack your neck when no one else can. But
yeah, and I don't know why they don't send them to Guantanamo. Because
that's the thing.
You put those terrorists on one of them tables for about 15 or 20 minutes, and I like the little thing that.
Oh, he's got
turn that up to full. It's just kind of going.
He's into all this annoying shit like coining.
Yeah.
And which is basically, they used to do it with a coin, but he has a special tool now because they made it more painful. And they just shove a metal thing into your body and then scrape on your bones with it, right? And he does that, and he does cupping, which is this sadistic practice where they take this cup, and it puts it on your skin, and then it suctions the skin up.
Okay.
To make you bleed through your skin.
When your procedure sounds more like a deviant sexual practice, you probably need better PR.
Yeah.
I mean, cupping, pegging, we're just getting too close.
I'm telling you, it's
yeah.
He will make you sit there and regret every life decision, but you feel better later.
Yeah. Well, I suppose I should probably add for my comment, the way you build these kinds of relationships is if you have an opportunity, you do favors for these people. I mean, that's just kind of the way human beings are. Human beings have an amazing need to repay a favor. I mean, they really do.
Don't.
Well, I said human beings.
Oh, that's true. Carry on.
Listen, yeah. But I mean, it's and I've always been very generous with my time to the extent that I could to help people out because, if you've done someone a good turn and you need them, they'll almost always be there. I mean, during the pandemic, I benefited greatly from from knowing a number of doctors and that kind of thing. And it was little stuff, just like get a text message, "How are you feeling?" Respond, little, "Okay, well if this happens, do this. If that happens, call an ambulance." Things like that. But yeah, that you should never, just as a general kind of life advice, never pass up an opportunity to do a favor for someone.
There you go, guys. Ty just suggested to give your doctors a hand job. Let me read a couple chats.
Yeah,
came
not precisely, but at least it's sort of we're in the same time zone, I guess.
Tina says, if there's a god, then the Vic appeal would come out in favor of Vic right before the release of the next Dragon Ball Super movie, messing with the careers of the voice actors in the movie. That'd be funny.
That would be funny, yeah. No, you know what? You know what's going to happen? I've had this happen before, and it really annoys me. If they do a case drop like the week before Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to clear their docket out. I had that happen to us one time on an appeal, and it didn't go our way. And I mean, it's like, mother, just sucks all the life out of your your Christmas holiday.
If they wait until Christmas, they're really, really scraped. I mean, I thought it was going to come out yesterday because I threw my back out, and I couldn't sit up. I mean, there was no way to stream, so I thought for sure it was coming out, but then it didn't. And it never will. Commando Biffle says, I can see now why lawyers drink so much. I was selected for jury, and we found the guy guilty. We ended up sending him to prison for at least 30 years.
Wow.
I still feel absolutely terrible about it. Well, you know.
Well, why do you feel terrible about it?
I mean, I get it. Like it.
Oh, yeah. It
30 years of life.
Yeah.
Like,
I see.
Yeah. Eldritch Blasted says, "Let's go, let's go, Brandon."
How long is it going to be before social media decides that's an offensive statement that needs to be controlled?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think they already are.
Yeah, fuck Joe Biden is even better.
Yeah. He says, "One of y'all explain Thaco to me, please."
To hit armor class 0.
It's just the dice that you have to roll, the dice number on a D20.
Yeah. In classic D&D, the armor classes went high to low. In other words, your no armor was armor class 10 or 9, depending on the version of D&D. Plate mail was like armor class 2. I have no idea why. The current system is far more logical, but anyway. And originally they had charts. They had charts that you'd look up your class and level and the targets and then armor class of the target, and you use the number you got to roll. Well, turned out that you could express those charts as an algorithm by saying, okay, to hit armor. So if my THACO is 18, that means I got to have an 18 or better to hit armor class 0. I subtract the target's armor class, whatever it happens to be, to get the number I got to roll. So if he's armor class 3, 18 minus 3 is 15. I got a 15 or better.
Look at the big lawyer math.
Yeah, well, actually, see, I have a handy abacus that one of the folks gave. So I could actually demonstrate it. I won't do that to you, Nick.
Stop it.
Yeah, I know.
I will kick you off.
That was a bit much, but this is a glorious thing. It was even better when my daughter said, "Dad, someone sent you an abacus." I said, "Oh, give me that," and they're like, "Okay, how does that work?" I said, "Well, I'll show you."
Oh God! Why did they ask?
Seriously,
they've known you for their entire lives, and they asked you how an abacus works.
To the point I was getting at earlier. When you do that, you have no one to blame but yourself. I mean, But anyway, a shout out to. Oh, and I also got another guy sent me something. Apparently, the road atlas that I had was not adequate. So this is a much better road atlas. It's thinner. It's got a waterproof cover, and so now I can. It's just handier than the spiral bound one.
In case you're driving around in your convertible and need to know where to go.
Right, of course. So oops. Well, what are you gonna do? So anyway, but that's THACO. That hopefully that helps. If personally, I always use the charts. The charts really weren't that hard to use, and you have them on your screen, and your eyes learn to lock into things. Once you've used a chart for any length of time, your eye knows it's a lot faster than going.
You got to have that -10 armor class.
Yeah, you got it. You have to remember that when you subtract a negative number, you're adding, and so But that was it. THACO was and now it's just kind of become almost like a badge of honor. And I have to say, when I ran AD&D a while back for my daughters and their young men, I started out with.
Hold on. Jay's board says, I think my virginity is growing back.
I award you one internet for that, and I give you an option to purchase a second internet for $5. Well played. That was good.
Eldritch Blast. Wait, I read that one. Mario Carter says, Nick, never cry in public, be a man. Also, Nick, I sure hope Drexel doesn't find out Corona-chan blew my back out last night. Cow Chips.
Harsh but fair.
Cow Chips bought me. Thank you for the donation. There's nothing attached to your super chat there. Puggernaut says, you think this is bad, but Google is now going to demonetize any videos that go against climate change now. Only those towing the party line are allowed income in the New World Order. Kermit is boiling. Yeah. Yep. I mean, well, I'm sitting there screaming over text messages with the person at YouTube about this stupid community guideline strike. And the guy said, I'm like, I need this fixed now. I need this fixed immediately. Yeah. And they said, what the hell? Hold on. Oh, it doesn't matter. And they're like, yeah, I understand your situation. I said, oh, really?
Oh, no, I don't want to hear that. I hear you bullshit.
I said, is your income based on arbitrary decisions with arbitrary decisions under a bad set of rules? And he said, I can't answer that. And I said, okay, I know it's not, but mine is. And I'm like, you don't understand. Yeah. If you don't set this up, I'm going to lose money. Like, that's my job. And he's like, I understand. No, you don't.
No, homie. You don't.
You don't. Your job doesn't depend on some jackass or some algorithm determining I broke a rule, which I didn't break. Ty, I said that the election couldn't be affected by the audit. I towed the line. I said the right thing.
Well, that's the problem with arbitrary bullshit rules, right? Is, you're never going to be able to satisfy the overlords on this kind of stuff. I mean, that's the delusion that all the go along to get along people don't seem to understand. Is there is no get along. The purpose of the exercise is for them to exercise their superiority over you. And so if you do what you're supposed to do, they'll simply move the goalposts. I mean, this is, this kind of stuff is all about putting you in your place. It's not about actually protecting the community or any of that kind of stuff. Did you cover that ridiculous whistleblower bimbo eruption they had this week?
I talked about it a little bit, but I haven't done. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was so obvious. I said, "Oh, whistleblower." I read one paragraph and went, "Oh, bullshit! She's wanting more censorship." This is a. I believe your audience introduced me to the term. This is a gay op.
Oh yeah, and see, that's the thing. I was discussing this with someone. I can't even remember who. I'm fuzzy. Oh, with Sargon. I was discussing this with Sargon.
Yeah, I wanted to watch that. I wasn't able to. I had to work.
It was a good show. But we were discussing the Facebook lady specifically, and for whatever Facebook is, because Facebook is garbage. Mm-hmm. But it's also, as far as the right is concerned, it's the least garbage platform.
Yeah, no, I mean,
crazy to think of.
It is crazy to think about, but I mean, I have a very large group of Facebook friends. A lot of them are clients, and I am my normal, measured, thoughtful, calm self.
I've seen your Facebook. You can't lie to me.
Yeah. Well, it's all.
I've seen your hernia.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I have referred to Alex Jones as a wussy liberal once, but
You did?
But no, I did not.
I was going to say.
It has been said of me, and not ironically or jestingly, that I am to the right of Attila the Hun. But no, that's how we. I mean, Facebook is an old person communication platform, and we bitch about it all the time. Yet we continue to use it.
I'm going to start live streaming on Facebook. I'm
Yeah.
going to start building up. I
You
don't
ought
know
to.
how it works at all, but I'm going to start building up a Facebook simulcast live stream thing because this shit is insane.
No, I am not Alex Jones.
Yeah. Globalists.
It's just a coincidence that we've never been seen in the same place at the same time.
But I'm going to start. I think I'm going to start multi-streaming over there because I think they might actually promote my show, whereas YouTube does not.
Yeah, they seem to be almost. They seem to be almost grumpy about the fact that you're making them money.
It's the weirdest thing. I'm like,
Well, the problem is they've crossed over that fixed expense curve that tech companies do, and they're just making money. I mean, they're making more money than they can spend. And so, when you're in that situation, you can indulge these ridiculous things. Excuse me. One of my friends, Bill Sylvie, does Facebook streaming. So yeah, it's we hate it, but yet we continue to do it. But yeah, that was one of the more feckless gay ops I've ever seen, though, because I mean she was outed pretty quickly as a plant.
I see people saying
And
stuff
by
like,
plant, I mean she had the intelligence of a turnip. Okay.
"Oh yeah, she's she's terrible."
Yeah.
But people are saying live stream on Rumble. Blah. No, Facebook has a platform that's actually comparable to YouTube. That's the difference.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's all about exposure, and
Unfortunately, there's nothing like YouTube for exposure. There just isn't. There's no way to get the same amount of people watching. But Facebook actually you can. And they have a pretty robust video platform, and they have a pretty generous monetization program, which is unfortunately that's a big factor because you gotta pay for, or you gotta get paid for your work.
Well, if you're doing it professionally like you're doing, yeah. I guess you were aware this week Facebook went down for about 5 hours. Unfortunately, the world did not give in to the demands of the terrorists, so they put it back up. But that was an interesting thing. It was kind of glorious, actually, for 5 whole hours. I saw a meme that was glorious. It had Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's as though the voices of millions of pointlessly bickering people on Facebook were suddenly silenced.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. The Facebook outage, Mark Zuckerberg lost $6 billion from it. Just by sheer coincidence, the Facebook outage happens and you get the Facebook whistleblower the same day, pretty much.
Although I'm trying to figure out what possible advantage Facebook would have had to have rigged it that way, right? I mean,
I don't think Facebook rigged it that way.
Yeah.
That the lady who was on there, she was on the same team on Facebook that snuffed the Hunter Biden.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
She was there.
No, you listen to that crazy bitch
a former
talk.
Google employee.
Oh, good.
And she's only been at Facebook a year and a half.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Now it starts to make a little more sense.
Interesting.
Facebook, look, you got to get on board with the rest of us here, and that's what the call has been. Oh, we got to have a standardized set of rules for the internet now, because you can't have. It's like you can't have. They don't want these different platforms. It's all bullshit.
No,
they don't. It's like, well, if you don't like Twitter's rules, you could go somewhere else. But they don't want that. They want a standardized set of rules.
And that really ought to be part of the. Well, of course, who am I? That's ridiculous. Justice Department is going to do it. There will be no Federal Trade Commission investigation. There will be no anti-competitive practices investigation, none of that stuff. Because
they're just
leveraging
the deep pressure.
Well, the deep state loves Facebook because and all the other social media platforms because they are basically now propaganda arms of the Democratic Party. Just like the FBI is now basically the Praetorian Guard. What about? I guess you saw that letter that Merrick Garland, who actually has a worse case of resting bitch face than Anderson Cooper. Okay, I never thought I'd see the day, but
Yeah.
but he really does. That letter that these parents who are taking school boards to task are going to be treated as domestic terrorists. You and I have talked about this. They're messing with people's kids, and
See.
you don't do that. What?
I was going to pull up the letter.
Ah, yeah.
Where is it?
You start jacking with people's children, it gets real fast. And but again, the left is just too damn stupid. They literally are running around in a room full of dynamite with a blowtorch, and they don't. I never really thought I'd ever say that there was any reasonable likelihood of a serious thing like a civil war or something in this country, and I still don't think it's highly likely. But my assessment was always predicated on the assumption that that neither side was just completely batshit crazy. That assumption is no longer defensible. So what would you do? I mean, in a heavily armed society, what would you do if you happened to look out the window and saw the FBI rounding up your neighbor because they had the audacity to criticize what the local school board was doing?
Yeah, well, that's what you need. That's the face everybody needs to understand. This is the face of an enemy of the people. Is this guy. The Attorney General of the United States is supposed to represent the people of the United States. That's the Attorney General's job.
This is the moderate that the left were so pissy about that didn't get to be a Supreme Court justice.
And he's so pissed off about it.
He is, yeah, he is. Well, I'm no big fan of Mitch McConnell, but that was one of McConnell's greatest moments.
Yep. No, he did the right thing.
Not letting that happen. Unfortunately, he then became a complete dumbass and did all kinds of stupid things. But yeah, but this kind of stuff, it's like, listen,
Here, let's check out this little memo real quick. It's only one page.
Oh yeah.
It says, in recent months, there's been a disturbing spike in harassment, intimidation, and threats of violence against school administrators, board members, teachers, and staff who participate in the vital work of running our nation's public schools. While spirited debate about policy matters is protected under our Constitution, is it though? Because that's what these actually are. This is actually spirited debate.
While you have that right, we need to curb it.
Yeah, that protection does not extend to threats of violence or efforts to intimidate individuals based on their views. Actually,
excuse me, yes, it does.
It does.
It
definitely
absolutely does. It absolutely does. Because number one, the word intimidate is utterly subjective.
Yep. And the word intimidation is still protected speech.
Yeah.
The Supreme Court they have said that threats of, bona fide threats of violence are not, but intimidation absolutely is.
And even threats of violence, if it's hyperbole.
Right. That's why I said bona fide threats.
Yeah, right. Yeah, of course.
Actual true threats.
Yeah.
Actual true threats. Threats against public servants are not only illegal, that's not true. They run counter to our nation's core values. Those who dedicate their time and energy to ensuring that our children receive a proper education in a safe environment deserve to be able to do their work without fear for their safety. Wrong.
Absolutely wrong.
Wrong.
I can tell you right now, the public education profession, here's what they're terrified of. They're terrified of the parents of this country finding out that 80% of them are hopelessly incompetent and mediocre.
Yes.
As a profession.
And 95% of them are communists.
Well, yes. Now, I have some good friends that are teachers, and I at one time in my life I was going to do that too. And so there are always in every profession a few really good ones. But as a profession as a whole, teaching is an embarrassment. They're not a profession, first of all. They're not even close to a profession. Professions don't have labor unions, okay? That's one huge difference. But if I hear one more fucking teacher whine about their low pay, I swear to God, I'm going to reach to the TV and try to throttle them. Because you get 4 months a year off, Okay,
Yeah.
stop whining. Go do a real job then. Okay, I just and I am sick and
And their pay
fortunately,
isn't that bad.
no, it isn't. It
Especially
absolutely
for their
isn't.
education requirements, they're not bad at
Yeah.
all.
Well, and the schools of education in our universities routinely have the lowest scoring students on the SAT and on any kind of test of competence. The education schools are always rock bottom, and it's not even close. You know, it is it's a profession filled with mediocre people, and I'm done with even pretending like they're to be placed on a pedestal. Fortunately for all of us, they've done a more thorough job of beclowning themselves than we ever could.
Well,
Because this is
usually the experts at being bad at their own jobs, pointing out the badness at their own jobs, are the people who are actually bad at them.
mm-hmm.
Right? Like we can try and point out all the bad things that they do, but we'll never be as skilled as the people who are
we won't
actually
be able
bad.
to demonstrate it.
Yeah.
They can actually model and demonstrate the behavior. Yeah,
Yeah.
and this crap here is, and that's the thing. I mean, if anything good did come out of COVID, is a whole lot of parents got their eyes open.
Yep.
That old saying, "Out of sight, out of mind," unfortunately, that's an accurate statement, and particularly when you're a parent, because you love your kids typically so much that it would be very easy to obsess about it, and so it's almost okay, fine. They're at school where they're safe, and and the minute you introduce anxiety back into a parent's mind, it ain't going to go well. And this crap about, well, if Terry McAuliffe in Virginia loses, and it's now looking like it's at least a dead heat, if he loses that gubernatorial election, it's going to be because he was a complete dumbass and said, "Oh, I don't think parents ought to be telling teachers what to teach their kids." And
It's literally the one, like it's one of the few jobs that I will say that cancel culture or whatever, I'll use that in air quotes, should exist. It absolutely should.
That should
exist.
disqualify you from the human race, in my opinion.
Well, but I
Something like that.
because with this, like the teachers are not, like, they're agents of the state, but the point is they're agents of the state, and the state's ability to educate the children comes from the parents' right to educate their own children. And so when we are doing this and we're taking our tax dollars to set up this education system, it's to educate them the way we would educate them, not the way some stupid egghead from the Department of Education thinks that we should do it. No, you listen to the parents. That's how it's supposed to be. Yeah. And if you don't, you should be witch hunted, fired, mocked, and ridiculed.
In an insanely ordered world, these asshats would be hanging from lampposts. I mean, but it's okay, because here's the thing: you keep jacking with people's kids, and they're doing it so oblivious to just how infuriating it is.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, they're not oblivious. They're actually disdainful that these parents would dare question, what they're teaching, that they would dare take offense or umbrage. These cretins, don't they know about my education? Don't they know about all of the techniques and pedagogy that I've learned? I mean, don't they? What are they in their factories? They're trying to tell me how to educate children.
Because basically, as a profession, you people suck. I mean, I'm sorry. Public educators, as a profession, you suck, because you're not doing your job. And I don't want to hear the whining and bitching about how it's society's fault, it's the kids' fault, it's the parents' fault, it's the this, it's the that. At the end of the day, judged on results, you suck. Pardon me. If the medical profession, they would be the equivalent of a doctor that killed 80% of his patients.
Yeah.
You know, so my point is that they have no basis for that kind of arrogance. You know, they should actually be kissing our feet every day that we pay them anything based on the results. Now, I know that's very unpopular, and I know that, you know, the cult of the teacher in this country has always been, you know, I mean, up until very recently, teachers were among the highest regarded professions out there. And no profession has had more accolades that they deserved less than public educators.
Yep.
Now, as I said, I have some very good friends who are teachers, and they are very, you know, my God, if half the teachers, a third of the teachers in education were as good as them, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But as a profession, they suck. And that's one of the reasons why they keep wanting to do all this other crap. You know, one of the great ways to figure out whether or not someone is doing their job well is to notice whether they're trying to do anything, things other than their job.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, no, really. Your local government. The more your local government whinges on about, you know, about global warming and climate change, that kind of crap, the crappier your streets very likely are, and the more breakdowns your you know, your stoplights are going to have in town, and the more incompetent your police force is. You know, they want to solve all the problems except the problems that we actually pay them to solve. And, you know, and like I said, I don't want to hear the whining about it. I don't get to whine about it. You know, if
I do.
Yeah, but no, even you don't really. If you lose a case, it's your fault.
Oh, I see what you're talking about.
You know, I mean, we're held.
I thought you meant teachers. I was like, I get to whine about teachers. I'm definitely
yeah.
going to do that.
No. I mean, but see, that's always the response, right? Well, we don't get support from the parents. We don't get support from the wah. You know, at the end of the day, a real professional.
You do. It's called a paycheck.
You do. Well, no professional pride. I mean, honestly, I'd be embarrassed.
They had to buy scissors for their classroom.
Oh no, my God, I think I'm going to cry. Big fucking deal. I know police officers that buy their own sidearms, that you know, I mean, military personnel who buy better gear than the Army provides them with. You know?
Yeah.
Welcome to the grown-up world, you dipshits. It absolutely whips me, because at the end of the day, here's the thing: anybody that whines about their job needs to go do something else, because no one forced you to do your job. No one held a gun to your head and made you do that. And I can assure you, there are many days where I reflect and go, you know, I really wish I did have 4 months a year off. You know?
Yeah.
Or a 7-hour workday.
I only get mad when I can't do my job, like today when I can't do my job as on my main channel. And
that's my problem, right? Is that I really love what I do, so you know, and you know, and in the law that is very rare. It's depressingly rare. The amount of, you know, to anybody out there that's thinking about going to law school, the only thing I would caution you on is this: there is a high level of dissatisfaction in this profession. Over a third of us are willing to admit that we would not do it again, which implies that probably another third of us believe the same thing but just don't have the guts to say it.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, life's too short to.
Life's too short, and that's why I have to let people know, because again, as people join the stream, we're not on the main channel. And I was lying to you guys. I said it was because I got a strike, but it's actually because you kept doing those stupid member chats. Those member chats. That's
fault.
why I did it. That's why. No, I'm just kidding. I got a strike on my main channel. It's bullshit. It's on appeal. But they didn't tell me. They didn't even issue the strike until 6 p.m. Central Time today, which means I'm not going to get an answer probably before Monday. Because it's bullshit. It's all fucking bullshit, and they knew exactly what they're doing, and I'm really fucking mad about it, because I I'm so careful to not break these fucking rules. And
Right. No, you really are. That's the annoying thing, right? Is that, you know, but it doesn't matter, unfortunately.
yeah. I mean,
You give little people power. This is what you get. You know,
Yeah,
they're empowering some of the most useless people on the face of the earth to interfere with your ability to make a living.
like I specifically have been not heavily covering the audit because I know that if you cover the audit too much, even no matter what your coverage is, if you just cover it too much, because there was one person who all they did was live streamed the audit cameras, because there were cameras and people could just sit and watch the audit. That's all it was. That was their whole channel. That one was banned. It was like there wasn't even commentary, but you know, so if you cover it too much, you got in trouble. So I didn't cover it too much. I only covered it when there was major updates, and then I hadn't even gotten around to covering the final audit report. And someone had asked me about it, and I answered a question, and I did not break the rules because I know the rules and I'm very, very careful about them. And it pisses off a whole bunch of people because they would much rather me, you know, get banned, I guess. But here's why, guys. Here's why. The fucking second you say anything that their algorithm determines breaks the rules, now I'm begging them to undo what the algorithm did, and maybe they will, maybe they won't. There's no recourse on it.
No,
there's no recourse.
That's well, I guess, hope springs eternal, but it would be the best thing that could happen on this topic if the Supreme Court said, you know what, it's a public forum. So, and the fact that one political party in this country has put pressure to censor people in a way that the government can't. Sorry, First Amendment applies. And I mean, that would, you talk about the and the I mean, God, the funny. I mean, that would just be hilarious. And the thing is, Justice Thomas has, he's dropped it out there, and I forgot was it a concurrence? Wasn't it a concurrence in a recent case where he mused about I could do this.
He's mused a couple of different ways. I think it was a dissent. It was a lone dissent, and it was him talking about common carrier, basically. Yeah. That would work. What are you clicking?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just messing with my mouse, basically.
Oh my God.
I'll quit. Well, yeah. So, that's the thing, right? Now the microphone is a lot closer to my keyboard. So my little nervous ticks.
Click, 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 click.
Well, does it get the ASMR thing? I mean,
no,
it's just annoying.
No, you'd have to turn the gain on your microphone all the way to the frickin' roof. Yeah, they all whisper because if they talk, you'll go deaf because the mics are turned up so high.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I literally put this thing together 10 minutes before the show, so.
You've had it for like a year.
Oh, listen, let's not worry about assessing blame. Let's just be glad that I was able to put the damn thing together and it worked, okay?
Let's finish this letter. It says the department takes these incidents seriously and is committed to using its authority and resources to discourage these threats, identify them when they occur, and to prosecute them when appropriate. In the coming days, the department will announce a series of measures designed to address the rise in criminal conduct directed towards school personnel. And
there's absolutely no evidence whatsoever of this. I mean, this is just totalitarian bullshit. I don't know if you saw, was it Florida? Some governor somewhere said, don't bring this into my state.
To this thing?
Yeah, said you're going to have a problem with us. I mean, that's the thing, right? You send a federal agent into a state, and the state and the governor,
Sounds like Brnovich, the Arizona Attorney General. That guy, he said, try it.
Yeah,
he said that a whole bunch to a whole bunch.
I could see Texas Attorney General doing the same thing. We'll sick the Texas Rangers on your ass. you do not want to mess with them.
I'm looking for a school board thing on my locals. Just a second. I got to play this. This is
But
great.
while you're working on that, it's horrifying. This is a problem across. Hell, even in East Texas, we've got liberal school boards in towns that are 95%, Republican. Nobody runs for school board. It's one of those kind of type things. And there's a small town near Tyler right now that I got a client that's called me and said, "What do we do about this lunatic superintendent?" And I said, "You go after the school board." Well, they're all in his pocket. I said, "Well, then you just got to fund somebody and knock them off and run against them."
Here we go. This is from the San Diego Board of Supervisors meeting. They did not alter this guy's voice in any way, but this guy
Okay.
put music down over it, okay?
Okay.
So here we go.
That's the wind. That's the wind of time. That's the wind of history. That's the wind blowing through your ancestors' bones, begging you to do the right thing.
Sir, can you please
That is the wind that Matt Baker is calling upon from Ocean Beach.
This sounds like something out of the 70s.
Oh, wait.
The wind that is blowing through the black people, through the white people, through the Chinese people, through the Mexican Americans, to the people that built this building with their bare hands to raise up this nation. They are begging you, and they are blowing through your veins, and they should be putting a tingle up the spine of your back, and they should be begging you to do the right thing. You're about to open a pit of hell. You do not get a vaccine passport put on us. You know, as the population who's in control, you know that the people are the politicians. Once you get a power, you will never relinquish it. Do you think that the 4 feet of marble that holds you above high in this chamber will help you from the fate of humanity which you are unleashing? No! Your children and your children's children will be subjugated! They will be asked, how many vaccines have you had? Have you been a good little Nazi? Hail Nazi! Hail Nazi! Hail Nazi! Hail Nazi! There's been a lot of talk about the Nuremberg Code. I brought you a copy. You are all in violation of Section 1. Yes, you, Dr. Wotan. You are in violation of the Nuremberg Code, which is international law. The definition is...
Sir, your time has expired.
Your timer's expired.
Can you imagine?
The glory of the democratic process.
So that guy sat there, like obviously with no guitar, and just screamed at them.
Yeah.
He's just like, have you heard of the Nuremberg Code? I brought you a copy.
I'm telling you, you're jacking with people's children, and they don't, and they're so fucking clueless about this, right? Or arrogant,
Yeah.
or whatever it is. And you're not putting that genie back in the bottle. When some critical mass of parents have had enough, it's going to get really nasty. Because here's the thing, right? If you're really actually harming someone's children in their minds, you think they're not going to just beat the shit out of you on the street?
Yeah.
I mean, this is, these jackasses are tearing at the absolute undergirding structure of our civilization. The whole deal about government is real simple, okay? We agree to let the government do things so that and we will forego handling it ourselves. And the trade-off is the government says, okay, we'll do this in at least a half-ass competent manner. And that's true of criminal justice, it's education. I mean, criminal justice, classic example. You hurt a member of my family, I will forego personal vengeance. if you will,
Right.
if the state will, in a fair, it doesn't have to be perfect, but in a fair and rational way, deal with the people who committed this offense. And when the state stops doing that, sooner or later, I'm just going to start doing what human beings have done for thousands and thousands of years. You
Well,
know?
that's what everybody well, it's because they don't teach it. But what the whole point is, all of the rights of government are derived from the people, all of them, and so you can't when
Yeah,
you say,
government-
well, the government puts people in jail. Well, that's because if someone hurt, like you said, if someone hurt your family,
Yeah.
you might lock them up in a hole somewhere, or you just kill them.
Yeah,
Right?
I mean,
like you just shoot them.
yeah.
Or
I'm
stab
actually
'em,
a big
throw 'em off a
fan.
cliff.
I'm a big fan of a decently run criminal justice system because it spares us the centuries long feuds that
Right.
that infect most of the rest of the world. You know, but here's the thing: when the government stops performing its side of the contract, like every other agreement, and like it is totally acknowledged in our legal system. If one party breaches a contract, makes a material breach, the other party does not have to continue performing under the contract. And it's the same thing here. And that's what I say these idiot liberal prosecutors that are letting criminals just go run wild. It's
Did you see Chicago?
oh yeah, wasn't that something?
The mutual combat ruling on
Even
a
that-
murder?
Even that batshit crazy mayor in Chicago went, do what?
Yeah, what do you,
you know,
what do
so I gotta-
what do you
I
mean
got-
mutual combat? There's
I
a
got to
shootout.
looking at the doctrine of mutual combat. It's interesting. With just a few minor tweaks, we could bring dueling back.
Yeah. only in states that actually recognize it.
Well,
and not
Texas and
just use
Washington
it-
statutorily recognize it, although it's very, very limited.
Yeah.
But, you know, but I mean, there's the framework necessary. We need to bring dueling back. We really do. You know,
Just allow it with crossbows.
I like flintlock pistols, smoothbore flintlock pistols. You know, because they're wildly inaccurate. You just about you can't really be a good shot with them, and if they hit you, they will fuck you up. You know, well, any weapons that rely upon physical strength or dexterity or something like that are going to give advantages to physical.
That's what I was saying, a hand
advantages.
crossbow.
Yeah, that's fine. I want the. I mean, you know, it's one of those things. The problem, of course, is we also would need to adopt the societal attitudes that supported dueling as well. That you are a unmanly wussy boy if you back down from a duel. So if you initiate behavior that allows you to be called out and you don't acquiesce, you know, and you don't participate in the duel, you're scum. I think that would happen pretty quickly. But yeah, we need to bring that back. Zweihänders. Yeah, well, giant two-handed swords are spectacular. I'm all for letting the duelists, if they can mutually agree, you know, to agree to whatever weapons they want to agree to. But
I watched Rob Roy.
Yeah, well, you know, shotguns at 5 paces. You know, it's. But you know, I anyway. But yeah, I mean, these Soros elected prosecutors, they're just nihilistic sociopaths. They just want to burn the world down. They don't have.
Yeah,
any,
well, that Chicago thing. I mean, I don't know what their motivation was for saying mutual combat, other than, you know, I can't even fathom
these
the thought
Soros
process.
prosecutors. That's what I'm going to call them. These liberal prosecutors. They are whatever the rationale is. I don't know or even care. They are bound and determined to not enforce the criminal law.
Yeah.
And I got some bad news for these people. In a society as well armed as ours, that kind of an attitude, if it lasts for any kind of length of time, is going to have a whole lot of negative consequences because we're just going to start shooting people.
I think they're just mad that the cops actually made an arrest in a gang shooting.
Yeah, could be.
Like, frankly,
Well,
I think
yeah.
that's it.
Yeah,
Because they're like, how dare you pick them up? You're supposed to pick them up for drug stuff, not for the murder stuff. And you're supposed to just, yell at them and scream at them a bit and then send them back on the streets so they can sell drugs for their families. You're not supposed to pick them up on murder stuff. We're just supposed to let those go unsolved.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you get what you vote for at the end of the day. I saw something that just absolutely, it was like, oh, well, thank you, God. It made me feel good today. Some whiny ass liberal white guy in Manhattan is just throwing a tantrum about the fact that the streets in New York and in his area, in his neighborhood, are now filled with heroin addicts. They're laying all over the street and shooting up, and the cops aren't doing anything about it. Well, New York State got rid of qualified immunity for police officers. Nobody else, but for police officers. So that means that you can sue a cop individually for just about anything he does. And the cops are going, I don't think we're going to enforce this. But here's the thing. I pulled up the election results in the last mayoral election. De Blasio won that area of New York, 78% of the vote he got.
Yep.
And so it's like, you know what? Fuck you. I enjoy what you voted for.
You get what you deserve.
In anything resembling a just world. But it's so hilarious, though, the indignation, the whining, the yeah. And it's like, but you voted for this. You can't elect a kook like de Blasio and say, I didn't know he was going to do all these stupid liberal things. Much like Obama, he told you exactly what he was going to do. You just didn't want to hear it, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a beautiful day when that happened. By the way, so have you seen the Chappelle special?
No,
on Netflix?
I haven't.
Oh my God.
I heard he's pissed a bunch of people off, just like the last time he did a special.
I'd say he's probably gone further because this time he told the unvarnished truth. You got to see it. It as like everything else that he does. He's hysterical. But let me summarize his entire point in like a couple seconds. The LGBT XYZ, all that crap. Y'all are just a bunch of white people, a bunch of spoiled white people who are trying to basically muscle in on the actual, what's the word? on the actual injustice suffered by black people. He said, "La baby," is that whoever that was? He said, what kind of world do we live in where the guy can kill another black man and nobody blinks, but he hurts the feelings of a gay person and now he's canceled. I mean, he said people think that I hate gay people and I hate trans people. That's not true. I hate white people. Because at the end of the day, those two movements really are just a bunch of affluent, spoiled white people.
Well, yeah. That's the luxury of what America has produced. The luxury of there not being any missing need, no matter what level of poor you are in the United States. There is no missing need for you. Every need can be taken care of, and so because of that, you have full luxury to pursue being as ridiculous as you want, and so you don't have to. You could go be gay, and guess what? No one will kill you. You can go be trans, and no matter how much you bitch and lie about it, Brianna Wu, no one will actually kill you, because if they killed Brianna Wu, they'd have to get next to her, which is gross.
And nobody wants to touch that or see that.
Nobody wants any of this. Did you see they're doing a Gamergate TV show?
Oh my God!
Brianna Wu is co-writing it.
It's going to be an absolute. First of all, nobody's going to watch it, but anyway, the Chappelle. What is striking though was Chappelle. Hollywood appears to be coalescing around Chappelle and not giving into the cancel thing. Now it's way too early to decide that we've actually hit that hypothetical inflection point where everybody's going to get tired of this.
We have not. They're only. See, this is what they do though.
He's a black man.
They like Dave Chappelle.
Yeah. And he's a black man. You can't, he asked a question, though, in his audience, and I thought it was extremely interesting, the response. He said, let me ask y'all something. Do you think gay people can be racist? and the audience chittering was obviously, he discomfited a lot of people. And he looked at them like they were crazy. He goes, "Of course they can be." You know, that in that liberal preference stack, though. So it would take an African American person to do this. But that's the other dirty little secret about liberal bullshit too, is that the black community isn't really, as a generalization, is just not real into the whole gay thing. They don't
like that gay shit.
No, they don't like that gay shit. The problem is the modern Democratic Party is basically now the party of neurotic, affluent New York white women. Okay.
Oh yeah.
That and I include Chuck Schumer in that description. Their entire ideology is just a bunch of bossy, spoiled white women. And that kind of minorities don't tend to reflect that, and they're, in my opinion, they're incurring a significant amount of risk because they're as stupid, spoiled people do. They're taking the support from minorities for granted, and with African Americans, it has to be said that they have good reason to do that. Because African Americans just don't seem to be able to quit the Democratic Party, but Hispanics. On the
Democrat
Party
Democrat Party has built a system to destroy the black family and to make African Americans as a class dependent on them. I mean, that's what they did.
I unfortunately, I think you're right, but for whatever reason, but Hispanics, they're not falling into line. They're a much more complicated demographic, and I think at some point, even African Americans may wind up saying, you know what, those people really haven't done shit for us. I mean, I remember, many years ago when I was a teacher, I was like talking to my colleagues, and I was like, black folks ought to at least consider voting Republican just to keep the Democrats honest. Because if they can count on you, they're not going to do anything, and they haven't. The Democrats pay lip service to African Americans, and substantively, they obsess over every little niggling concern of bossy New York white women. I mean,
yeah,
neurotic, and so.
Well, if I'm channeling Drexel, it's because they've taken men out of the picture.
Yeah.
And so then and black women want to be white women, according to Drexel. Yeah. And so so they're going to take on the concerns of middle class to upper middle class white women. That would comport with Drexology 101.
Okay.
Right there.
Okay.
Is that's
like
how
I've always said about Drexel, is he has some very provocative views, and they do have the virtues. At least thought them through. I don't know that I agree with all of them. In fact, I know I don't. But I wouldn't dismiss. The word niggling. I probably shouldn't have.
Oh, don't focus on that.
It was it just slipped out. Oh yeah, and Chappelle was using the N-word, and I know he was. It's like it was almost a scientific exercise in offending the easily offended.
Yeah,
I mean, it was glorious. And anyway, it'll be interesting because I mean, of course, they're calling for his head. He told a very touching story about a transgendered comedian that he became very good friends with. And it was a she, I guess, and they became friends, and he even let her open for him in one of his shows and stuff like that. And the last time the transgendered movement went after him, she defended him on Twitter, and they absolutely just tore her apart. And she he said she acquitted herself very well because she was funny and all this. But 6 days into the Twitter beatdown, she committed suicide. You know, and he was telling that story, and you could see it was genuinely. He wasn't, you know, he was just saying. He said, you know, he said, I don't know if she committed suicide because of the Twitter dragging that they did, but pretty sure it didn't help. And her family, even today, I saw something. Her family was like, "No, we think Chappelle is a great guy, and he's been nothing but a friend." You know, her point. She was the one that said, you know, because one of their buzzwords is you're punching down. You're punching down. Stop punching down. And you know, she made the observation.
Who's down? Who's punching? Like,
well, that's it, right? She said, well, first of all, to punch down, you have to despise whoever you're punching. And Chappelle doesn't despise anybody. He didn't punch down. He didn't punch up. He skewers everything, and he's a master at it. He's a master at his craft.
Just tells jokes.
And well, you know, up until the last 10 or 15 years, that's what comedians did. Comedians were the court jesters of our age. You know, the court jesters, by the way, that was their job, was to make fun of the court. They just had to do it in a clever enough way that they didn't get their heads chopped off. But, you know, I mean, the phenomenon of comedians coming to college, I understand now, is basically non-existent. That comedians won't dare go to a college campus because...
Well, Seinfeld was like the first comedian to say, "Yeah, I'm never going to a college again." Mm-mm. He went to a college campus and just ate all kinds of shit. And it's like, this is Jerry Seinfeld. Like, he's not the most risque comedian. He is very funny, and he's
my God, is he funny?
But
you know, he came to Tyler here and came to our university. In fact, your grandmother, bless her heart, gave me front row tickets. I sat with her and your Uncle Paul.
Yeah.
And I had no idea how funny. Don't judge Seinfeld's humor by the Seinfeld show. His comedy act on that show is that's an act. It's nothing like his actual comedy act. He is insanely funny and a wonderful physical comedian. But yeah, I mean, but Jerry fucking Seinfeld.
Right.
know,
yeah, and he played some college show, and then after he just tons of shit. People just talking shit about everything he said. And he said, "I'm just not going to go to colleges anymore." He's like, "They don't understand comedy. I'm done with it." And you know, it's great to be Jerry Seinfeld and have done the Seinfeld show. Yeah, where he never has to do anything other than what he wants for the rest of his life. But yeah, he's good stuff. Here, let me read a couple of these chats. Craig Lighton says, "Let's go, Brandon. 1984 wasn't a how-to book, and Idiocracy wasn't meant to be a documentary." But here we are.
No kidding.
Mithrin Emrys says, "Scores came out today, and I officially passed the bar.
Hey, congratulations.
Just have to complete the Texas-specific tasks now." Congrats, buddy. I knew you'd do it. I had full faith in you.
Congratulations, my friend.
When you sent the chat about taking the bar, I said, I know you're going to pass. So good job. Bad Vibe says...
Someone is demanding that you take my mouse away. I'm actually looking at something. I'm not just randomly clicking. But
click,
okay,
click,
fine.
click, 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 click.
I will attempt to modify my behavior. No, seriously, that's an accomplishment.
Wait a minute. I think I can fix it, though.
What? You can fix what?
There.
What are you fixing?
I think I can... Here, click again.
Okay.
Oh, nope. It's still there. Perfect.
It's still annoying, yeah. Well, never mind.
I hoped I could use because I turned off echo cancellation because last time, remember, we were having those weird problems.
We had that echo. Yeah, it's much better. I mean, I'm not hearing it now. Yeah, you know, the thing about the bar exam is law school sucks. Okay, I mean, there's a tiny percentage of people that actually enjoy law school, but no sane person does. It's just something you got to get through, and you know, you're in this intense pressure-filled environment for 3 years that just sucks, and you finally graduate. It's like, okay, and now in 2 months I've got to take this intense bar exam, and if I fail, I can't practice law. I can't do what I've been, you know.
Might get fired from whatever job I've picked up.
Oh yeah. If you got a job and you don't pass the bar, they'll fire you. Well, you know, large firms will definitely. Anyway, so when you pass the bar exam, it's a great feeling, and congratulations, very well done.
Bad Vibe says, Ty, offense is never given, it is taken, which is on them, not the person
Yep.
speaking. You are more kind than I. Society needs to grow a thicker skin.
Well, look, I'm at a point in my life now to where I did not agree to be responsible for your mental health. Okay. Now, if you're a friend of mine or somebody, I'll treat you with respect. But as a general rule, somebody comes up to me, you have offended me. Fuck you. I don't care. I mean, I, my theory on this has always been, I'll treat people as well as they let me treat them. And what I mean by that is I will treat them pretty much exactly as well as they treat me. And I find nothing, there are a few things more contemptible than someone who is an asshole and then gets all indignant when they get a dose of it back. I mean, I just, and I find, we find that in my profession, as lawyers, I find that occasionally. Some asshole lawyer will come on strong and I'll just give it right back to them, and they get all huffy, and it's like, what'd you expect?
Yeah.
You act like a prick to me. Believe me, my father was a world-class bastard. I learned from one of the very best that ever walked the earth. And so if I have to, I can give it back. I don't like to. It's not an enjoyable. I always feel vaguely, I don't like it when I really have gone after somebody, even when they deserved it. I don't care for it after, but it won't stop me from doing it again. I have an irritating lawyer habit I wanted to tell you about. I know this is quite random, but I was thinking about you. So,
God.
Did a mediation yesterday, and I want to throw this out there to the lawyers out there, and to anyone who's being a lawyer, and just get your opinion. I have always felt like that lawyers need to be careful about being overly collegial with the other side in front of clients.
Yes.
That is an intensely annoying thing to clients. And my co-counsel in the mediation I was in yesterday was yucking it up with both the other side and the mediator and all this kind of stuff. And my client was not enjoying it. And of course, I spent all my time talking to the client and not doing it. But it now irritates me. I mean, used to, it was like, well, it irritates the client, but it irritates me too. So you newbie lawyers out there, it's okay to be collegial with the other side when it's just y'all. But remember, your client thinks that your opponent is the spawn of Satan. Act accordingly if you want to keep your client. So anyway, sorry, that was just one of those random things.
It's an interesting balancing act, because sometimes you have to be collegial because that's the person you're negotiating with.
Yes. Yeah. And, I'm not saying don't be collegial. I'm saying in front of your client.
Right. In front of the client.
Curb that shit.
And what you should be doing is, telling the other, maybe telling the other party that, when we're in front of our clients, we're going to keep things stiff and professional. But, when we're working behind the scenes and it's just us, I'm happy to work with you on things. But, we've got I do represent my client's interests here.
Well,
my client doesn't like your client because your client's a piece of shit.
Yeah. And didn't like you because you're a piece of shit. Yeah. I just happened to notice that yesterday, and I've been aware of it for basically my whole career, but it actually started getting on my nerves for the first time. And so I'm probably just getting old and grumpy,
Well, most likely.
Yeah.
But you're right though.
It's part, in my opinion, part of representing a client is, you're sort of their last best hope in their mind. Okay. If they hire an attorney, it's bad. Okay. It's a bad situation and they can't fix it themselves, because nobody in their right mind would gratuitously hire a lawyer. And so, you have a role to play. Um, your job is to give them moral support, in my opinion, and I've always tried to do that. And yucking it up with the other side, showing pictures and telling war stories about when y'all did. Yeah, I mean, the class don't care about any of that crap. Number one, they're sitting here going, "Wait a minute, how much are you charging me for this? I'm
Yeah.
paid." You know, and yeah, a mediation is an interesting situation because you're just going to be there. But well, I use mediation as best I can. I use that to prepare for trial. I use that to, you know, try to do things. Try to, I mean, obviously anything relevant to the mediation you do. But that's what I was doing yesterday. I was outlining trial testimony because I didn't think we were going to settle, and we didn't. Um, but just my opinion. I was curious as to your read on that.
No, that's my read on that. Is the same. Like in front. I mean, I guess there's some scenario where your client doesn't actually see the other client as the devil. I can't think of too many instances.
I was going to say,
but it's theoretically possible.
I
But
suppose
generally,
it's theoretically possible, but I ain't never seen it myself. It's like an intelligent liberal. I mean, in theory, they could exist, but I hadn't met one yet.
Yeah. I mean, I had some weird domestics that I did where where my party actually didn't hate the other party. You know, it was a domestic because they got really drunk one time, and they got in a big drunken fight. But once the drunken fight was over, they were divorced, but they were business partners, and
Yeah.
so they still had to work together. They
Yeah.
really didn't want
Yeah.
either person to go to jail, and each one had kicked the other one's ass. Like I was representing.
Well, so there's reciprocity, right? I mean,
I was representing the woman, and the guy, I mean, his face was all torn up from, she scratched him up. She told her friend, she's like, go get me a knife. I'm going to stab this motherfucker. And all this stuff. But at the same time, the guy had beat the shit out of her. And he didn't cut her with it because he didn't have fingernails. Like she had fingernails and clawed him up, but he just pounded on her. And then she took photos in the jail like 6 hours later when the bruising started. And so she was all like, when they arrested her, she looked normal, but in jail, like 6 hours later, she had just bruises all over her arms and chest because he was just
wailing
they're
on
just
her.
they're just wailing on each other, right? And then, but we actually got the entire case dismissed.
The best for everyone.
Yeah, because the one witness who was witness to the get my knife so I can kill this guy. She called the prosecutor and said, "Yeah, I was blackout drunk. I don't remember anything." It was like,
I don't want any
win.
part of this.
He's like, damn it. And I looked at him like, like, you want to talk about dismissing this case? You got no witness, buddy.
Yeah. I just fear 13 to say, why are you sighing, Ty? That's equality. Because I am a good old boy raised in the South and you don't hit women.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I
understand the theory behind it, but I'm always going to find that distasteful. I can't.
Yeah. He got the bad end of it though.
It sounds like she acquitted herself quite well. Oh, listen, I'm gonna tell you from my martial arts experience, women can get vicious. I used to hate, when you're a black belt, and you go to tournaments, you wind up being the referees. You're either in the ring or you're a corner judge. And for whatever reason, I just always wound up as the center ring ref, and I used to hate refereeing women because they'd tie up and you'd have to get them apart. And man, you could lose an eye, lose a limb sticking your hand in the middle of all that. They get, they may not have the physical strength, but I think in terms of just sheer abandoned viciousness, I think women do very well. I kind of regret my path in the law was aimed at business and type stuff, and because of the way I went at it, I wound up getting a lot of good clients, pretty fast, mainly because I
Sure.
was cold calling them. I regret that I didn't go through that kind of stuff like you're doing. That I didn't make my bones that way because
Oh, yeah.
at
Well,
the
it's
low end, I find that now because we use court. I think I told you we use court appointed stuff as a training ground for our young attorneys. Right?
right.
It's great training, and I'll hear about their cases like, man, I wish I could. I wish I could handle that case.
Just take one time. It's funny.
Well, I can't take the pay cut. I have to make payroll.
Oh, sure. Always about the payroll. Of
Yeah,
course.
it pretty much is.
Endless N2646 says, I see your back pain and raise you a kidney stone. No, thank you.
Okay,
He
now
says,
you are going to turn into an. Okay, when you find yourself actually comparing ailments, you're a duffer. Okay, when you start comparing medicine, you're a codger, and when you do both in the same conversation, you have ascended to the top level, which is coot. You're in
yeah.
the.
He says, had to go to the urgent care today for one. Worst pain I've ever felt in my entire life. I still have to pass this thing too.
Oh man,
Haven't they figured that out yet? Where they just kill you instead of making you do it? Like,
I've never had that, but boy, I had a friend when it was actually around the time I went to law school. I worked in the publishing industry in Dallas. Had a friend, part time job. Anyway, a tough old guy. His name was Al. Al was he was a paratrooper. Had been in Vietnam, and he actually had on his forearm a parachute tattoo thing, and it said, "We jump with God."
yeah.
And I mean, but he was just old school tough. He was from like Ohio or something. And I said, Al, I just got to, what? Why did you jump out of perfectly good airplanes? I mean, what's the? He said, well, my dad was a paratrooper. My granddad was a paratrooper. So I decided, what the hell. Anyway, Al had a kidney stone, and he said he cried. It hurt so bad, and I'm like, wow. When a guy like that. So yeah, I can't.
Yeah,
Sorry, man.
I'm not ever looking forward to getting one. I hope it doesn't ever happen.
Now, my wife got a hip replacement last week.
Oh,
It's extra. I didn't tell you about that.
no.
We show up at 5 a.m. and we were home by 5 p.m. and it's a complete hip replacement. Can you believe that? I mean,
Damn.
yeah, the technology is amazing. They did a robotic surgery type thing where they scanned her. I guess I don't know if it was an MRI or CAT scan, whatever the hell it was. So anyway, the robotics apparently guided the surgeon, so the surgeon doesn't have to reach in there and try to find stuff and cause all the trauma and stuff. And
Yeah.
she's doing very, very well. But I'll tell you what, we're getting to a point where I don't know. I think maybe I could get an augmented eye and an arm and two legs. And if the price tag would be, say, I don't know, $6 million, I'd know there's a God.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know that was a long setup for that payoff, but I had to do that.
It was. But
yeah, it
no,
was-
I've seen how they do those hip replacements because they have to anchor the hip in the femur and they like bore down like the whole leg.
Yeah,
the whole thigh bone. And,
it's crazy. It's crazy. Well, a lot of that kind of stuff, they're using wood screws and they're using drills, and I mean, it's like my mother had back surgery and stuff, and started having some problem with the hardware they put in, so they took it out. And I walked in, and she tosses me a baggie and says, "Here." And I said, "What is this?" She goes, "This is what they took out of my back." I said, "That's a wood screw." I mean, it's
this
literally
looks like
number.
a deck.
I was like, I said, now it's made out of titanium, okay, but it was a freaking wood screw. I've got some of these in my shop,
Yeah.
So,
Well, when they hold houses together, they might as well hold you together.
Logical, yeah. But yeah, that's just amazing. Some of the stuff. But yeah, you would think if we can do that and we can't solve kidney stones, what? How
I
is that?
seem to remember they were working on a thing where they would pound the kidney stone with sound waves and just dissolve it.
Yeah, they would use sonic to. I guess that
You
didn't
need to
work
get that
as
thing
well.
working. You need to get that working better.
Yeah. Well, we need to get to Star Trek where you just wave some gadget over someone and it fixes whatever's wrong with them. I mean,
Yeah.
that's ultimately that's where we need to be.
Bad Vibe says, "Lol, Thai cupping sounds like big spoon or little spoon, big spoon soup cup." Spartan 73799 says, "I know how you feel, Nick. During the freeze here in San Antonio, I slipped on my walkway because I'm a tard and threw out my hips and back. Needed 3 months of physical therapy. Hope you feel better from the coof. And hello to Ty."
Hey, yeah, when you get older, everything takes longer to heal, and and your ability to absorb kinetic energy, I do think declines somewhat. I remember when Jim Bullock, one of my former law partners, I jumped his shit bad because he broke his foot falling off a ladder. I've gotten on to you about that, as a matter of fact. After a certain age, do not put your ass on a ladder. Okay, you hire young people to do that, because if they fall off the ladder, they'll just get up and go, "Oh, it gotta hurt." You fall off the ladder, you'll be in the hospital for 6 weeks.
That's true. Yeah, I had to buy a new ladder the other day because I have to hang a bunch of pictures. And Ty, this is fine. You won't have any problem with this.
Okay.
I had to buy one of those little giant ladders because the pictures I have to hang are over a stairwell. So I have to have one part of the ladder on this step and the other part of the ladder down, like 10 steps. Right?
Oh yeah, nothing at all.
It's
problematic
fine
about that. Jesus.
I'm definitely going to be okay standing up on this ladder.
You need to hire your wife a handyman.
No, I can do it. I can do it.
No. I'm telling you, your life will change for the better. The greatest thing I ever did was let my wife start hiring handymen to do stuff around the house. Now, it can get out of hand. I remember one time I came in from Dallas, had been some case, so I come in and there are literally 3 handymen working on various things in my house. I was like, "Honey, who are all these people?" "Well, he's putting a shelf in and he's doing there." And I'm like, "Can we, I don't know, not have a whole team?"
See, this is what you get.
Well, yeah, I mean, my wife actually retired a couple of them. She worked them so bad they actually retired, because I mean, she's, she put them to work. But yeah, get you a handyman, man. That's just
see, I can't hire a handy. I can't hire a handyman because I represent people when their handyman doesn't do the job.
Well,
I was just telling you about one of these cases the other day.
What you do is you put your wife in charge of supervising the handyman, and it's like an exam process. If they can't take that, and a lot of them can't, well, you don't need them. They're not going to do you a good job. But what you're looking for is the handyman that's really good and will actually let your wife stand there and boss them around all day, and then come back the next day again. It takes time, but you can find them, and trust me, your life is just so much better.
I told you about that painting thing. Remember the painting case where the judge just didn't listen at all, and
I vaguely do.
pulled that bullshit. Oh, this is in furtherance of the contract because they got a receipt.
Yeah.
We ended up winning that case.
So the law was followed. I mean, I guess that's good.
Eventually, only because the other person, this was great. So my client had kicked out the painter.
I'm sorry, Killdozer. Go ahead. I'll finish your story, but
if you hire a handyman and put your wife over him, your bill will skyrocket because she won't stop giving him unnecessary tasks. That one,
that's a feature, not a bug. Because you see, she won't be giving you those tasks.
That's true.
That's what you got. You got to focus on this. I didn't say it would be cheap.
So, no, but so the judge had basically forced my client and the other person into mediation to negotiate that they would finish the job, right?
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing though. My client not hired this person who sued my client. But since the judge was being a pain, it was like, okay, fine. And my client had also kicked out the person that they had hired because they took all the garbage and dumped it illegally in a dumpster of a local businessman.
I don't know if you told me that part of it. I don't remember that. Sorry.
Well, it wasn't important at the time.
Yeah, sorry for the noise, folks.
No, you're fine.
Coffee, so.
And so they had done the illegal dumping of garbage. So my client, back in like May, had said, "You're not welcome at my house. If you come back, I'll call the police." And so I sent an email to the lady who had agreed to do the painting. I said, "By the way, this guy, he's not allowed at my client's house. And if he shows up, my client will call the cops." So then she shows up with the guy. But my client wasn't there because they never called to tell my client when they were coming to do the work. And I had asked very politely, I said, "Please tell me when you're going to come do the work, and please tell me the names of any subcontractors you're going to use." And they never did. So then they showed up with the guy. My client wasn't home though, so they couldn't come in. And then I sent a follow-up email and I said, "I'm of the understanding that you showed up with this guy. Don't do it again."
Yeah. What part of yeah.
Right. So then they freaked out and they said, "Fine, we'll wait and see what the judge says." It's like, okay, you idiot. So the lady goes in and starts telling her sob story to the judge about how my client wouldn't let them work. The judge looks at me and says, "Can you explain this?" I said, "Yeah, Your Honor. Here's the emails I sent." I had already filed them. It's like, "Here's the emails I sent. I said that this person was not there." And so she goes back. She's like, "Okay, so what's the problem? Why didn't you do the work?" And she's like, "Well, my crew wasn't welcome." She's like, "Yeah, but your crew isn't party to this lawsuit, just you. And you agreed to do the work." And she's like, dismissed. And just like, she just hung up on the Zoom call immediately. And we won the hearing in 6 minutes.
Wow.
It was pretty brutal. And it was funny, but it was such a waste of time. It was like, this should have happened the first time.
But people don't, normal people, non-lawyers, say it that way. Non-lawyers often don't realize that, when you have a deal with someone, their deal is with you. It's not with whoever you decide to bring in to do the work, right?
Right.
They're not on the hook for that unless they specifically agree to be on the hook for that. And people are like that. A variation of that is when people say, "Well, I had a bad lawyer, therefore I shouldn't lose. This judgment should be overturned." That's not how it works. If your lawyer does a bad job, your remedy is to sue the lawyer. It's not, you don't get off the. I mean, in law school, we spend a lot of time on what's called privity of contract, which is exactly what you're describing.
Which didn't exist here.
That's a classic example. I mean, that could be a law school exam question almost. There's no privity of contract. Your client did not contract with the subcontractors.
It couldn't. Well, here's the thing. It actually couldn't be a law school question, because if you put this on a law school exam, they would fire the teacher, because they would say, "Why on earth?" No judge would ever say that a person that you had zero contractual obligations with was a valid party. That's just ludicrous.
You'd hope. You'd hope, but
to the chat, let me be very clear. My client hired a man who owns a painting company to do painting. And when the guy refused to finish the painting, my client was sued by a woman, not as a representative of any company at all, sued by a woman herself, who said that my client had a contract with her, despite the fact that my client had never even met her.
Yeah.
In his entire life.
It was the wife, right? She was the wife?
No, I assume girlfriend.
Oh. Wow.
And it makes no sense, because this guy has a registered business too. So it's like he should have sued, or she should have sued on behalf of the business as like a business manager or something. But nope, didn't. Sued in her individual capacity. like freaking idiots. And because the judge had a bug up her ass on the first hearing, she was pissed off at my client and therefore didn't let me talk and just decided that this person had a contract.
Yeah.
Just
But then flipped 180 in the actual.
I think she realized what happened.
Yeah. Well,
I think
that is a really insanely ridiculous rookie mistake for a judge. I mean,
it was, and this is the judge of the county. This is the
it's your
elected county judge.
Oh, well.
And so it was a big misunderstanding, but we got it resolved. It was just such a waste. It's like, this is such a waste of the court's time. Why are we here?
Because the judge was an idiot or was a bitch, whatever the case may be.
She was really pissed.
Yeah,
really pissed.
So the thing is, if you go through enough if you go through any litigation, you're a normal person, you won't ever want to do that again, because it's not like television at all. And judges are no more capable than lawyers. They make stupid mistakes just like lawyers do. And I mean, some of the most effective things that I've heard mediators say in mediation has been, of course, the definition of a compromise is something that nobody's happy with. But the other thing is, this is the last chance for you to actually resolve this matter on terms that you decide on.
Right.
You being both of y'all, because you go to court, neither one of y'all are going to be happy with the result 99% of the time. Even if you went out, you're going to be pissed off that you had to incur all the legal fees. I mean, it's just there's.
Yeah. Well, I wish the people who sued my client on this one all of the cancer in the world.
Yeah, because
mainly because I had to do stuff and I didn't want to do anything.
Yeah.
Ty,
right. Well,
I don't want to do this.
I
just want to be a happy man. On YouTube.
I don't like. All kidding aside, one quality I don't share with most of the profession, I think I do share with you, is I absolutely despise doing useless work. I don't care if I get paid for it. It's soul destroying for me. I never have liked busy work. I don't like, and if I'm having to do unnecessary things, the fact that I'm getting paid to do it, that doesn't make me feel better.
Yeah, no, it's a waste of time.
Well, and of course, I'm fortunate enough to be so busy that I don't actually have to create additional work. I've got, I'm behind on pretty much everything all the time. So, but yeah, that's amazing. Were they represented or was it pro se?
No, it was pro se.
Oh God. Ugh.
If it was represented, the proper party would have gone after my client. The problem was, it would actually have made a pretty interesting contract case, because it would have turned into a dispute, because you're not going to force them to finish the job. You're rarely going to get to forced performance. And my client didn't sue. So it was going to end up being a question over possibly an in quantum merit award, right? Like how much did they actually finish? Was
there unjust enrichment? Was there? Yeah, these are all what we call quasi contract theories.
Equitable remedies.
Yeah. And that's an interesting point. Depending on the amount of, if the new painter had to come in and repaint the whole thing, well, there wouldn't really be much there. But that's it. You're right. It would. There's also the question of breach, right? Was there an actual breach? You could have gotten into that debate.
There definitely was. The guy just never finished the job. And he wasn't going to. He was like, nope, pay me the remaining 40% of the bill before I do any more work.
Do they have materialman's liens in Minnesota, don't they?
Yeah, they do. There's probably a reason he didn't try to do one, right?
Well, yeah, no. Well, there's a reason why. I mean, the availability of that remedy is one reason why contractors should be able to wait for a final payment, right? Because the liens do give them considerable protection if they're entitled to it. He was just out of money. Sounds to me like, and that happens. That happens with contractors.
The funny thing is, he
Yeah.
already had all the supplies. He didn't need more. Like all of the paint was
Did he have
purchased.
another job that he was working
No,
on?
he's from 2 hours away, and the theory was he wanted to take the money and run without finishing the job.
Yeah, yeah.
It went
That's,
just take the final payment and then just never show up again. What are you going to do? Go after him? I mean, you
Yeah.
can try, but
Yeah.
it's pretty easy to just fold an LLC and open a new one.
Yeah. Well, sure. Chasing contractors is a fool's errand. I've
Yeah.
had to do it, and I tell clients, we're not going to get a dime out of them.
Nope.
We'll get a judgment, but
Yeah.
it's,
Here, Michael Archangel says, even when you're already the one who gave the favor, you tend to give follow-ups because you're invested, sunk cost, or better because you're a Christian.
well, I personally, again, you gotta give loyalty to get loyalty. That's in my opinion, that's an axiom. I was, one conversation we could have sometime would be the nature of leadership when you lead an organization and you lead people. You can be Eisenhower that everybody loved, or you can be Patton who is a hard ass, but they both had to do it a certain way and the same way. And you don't get loyalty by just simply demanding it. You have to show it to get it. And when you do favors for people, when you inconvenience yourself for someone else's benefit, they're wired to want to repay that debt. Obviously not every single one of them, but I mean, the overwhelming majority of people, they want to do it. And in fact, there's a little bit of an art to doing a favor for somebody and not making them feel bad about it. What I typically do is I'll say, well, look, I mean, you do this for me, so don't worry about it. But but I would encourage everybody, if you really want to become, I think you'll improve your life. Say it that way. Help other people.
Kind of like these California lawmakers are doing, Ty?
God. Speaking of not doing your job.
The problems in the world are fixed now because California has made it illegal to remove a condom without consent.
What's the burden of proof on that? No, it's a serious question.
Verbal assent, it says. California became the first state to prohibit stealthing.
But is there a presumption one way or the other? In other words,
oh, you know what the presumption is.
Yeah, the presumption is if it came off, the man's going to have to prove that she consented.
Let's see.
You know what, California, you deserve this kind of shit. You really do. This is yet another wealth transfer scheme from the people of California to the lawyers.
Yeah. So here we go. It says the new measure amends the state civil code, adding the act to the state civil definition of sexual battery, makes it clear that victims can sue perpetrators for damages, including punitive damages. Democratic Assemblywoman, go away. Christina Garcia originally tried to make it a crime in 2017 after a Yale University study that year said acts of stealthing were increasing against both women and gay men. Well, I guess those guys
that's
just
where
kept
these
getting pregnant.
See, that's where all these very carefully thought out presumptions are going to go horribly, horribly bad, as with gays, because
legislative analysts said that it could already be considered a misdemeanor sexual battery, though it is rarely prosecuted given the difficulty in proving that a perpetrator acted intentionally instead of accidentally. Whoops. That's actually an affirmative defense. The whoops.
Whoops. Well, that's why I was asking about the burden of proof, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the only way that law could be workable, and I'm going to define workable as enforceable. I'm not opining on the wisdom of it, would be a presumption that says if it comes off, the onus is on the man to prove that it was consensual or accidental.
The erotic services the erotic service providers legal education research project supported the bill, saying it could allow sex workers to sue clients who remove condoms. Lawmakers in New York and Wisconsin previously proposed related legislation. It's the first of its kind in the nation. But I urge other states to follow in California's direction.
I'm going to have to start wearing personal protective clothing whenever I see Gavin Newsom, because I really am afraid of estrogen poisoning. At the very least, there's always a risk of spontaneous lactation when you see that guy. And I use the word guy in the loosest, most technical sense of the word, but.
Yeah, it doesn't say anything about how they're actually going to make this thing work.
Well, no, that's what makes it such a glorious thing for lawyers.
Stealthing is the newest dangerous sex trend in 2017. It's not sexy at all. So there you go. It's see, this is simple though. This is pay women for regret. That's what this is.
Yeah.
This is
this is yeah.
Because you have sex with a girl, she gets pregnant, and then she's like, "Oh, I didn't ask for this," and sues you, says, "I didn't give consent," and you're like, "I didn't even have a condom. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about."
Yeah.
It's like, what's your defense? Yes, she actually said take off the condom. She did. She told me. It's like, prove it. Well, how do I prove that?
That's what I'm saying. The only way for that law to be enforceable would be to put the burden of proof on the man, which is a complete inversion of basically our entire legal system. One of the things I don't like about the civil legal system is the erosion of due process. It's like it's a hand wave. Well, we're not sending someone to jail. Oh, right, you're just bankrupting them. So that's not punitive at all. We're not sending them to jail, so therefore we don't have to be so concerned with due process. And it's like, anyway.
According to this, not only does stealthing leave a victim vulnerable to pregnancy or STIs, it causes the same type of emotional, physical, and financial harm that stems from other more clearly defined violent sex.
Oh, bullshit.
It's the same as rape, Ty. It's the same as beating a woman unconscious and raping her.
Yep.
That's what it is.
Once again, we have stolen valor. I can't imagine being a woman who's an actual victim of sexual assault reading that kind of shit. I mean, that would have to be absolutely infuriating.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you expanding my horizons on the law. I had no idea that was a.
That's what I'm here for.
You're a giver. I've always said that. Okay. I'm going to take my coffee pot away from the microphone. Oh, hell, I can still hear it. Sorry, guys. Yeah,
it's just coffee pouring.
Yeah, one guy. Well, one guy in the stream said, "Great, now I got to go to the bathroom."
See, that's not that big of a deal because it's way better than the pounding on the pounding on the desk.
Well, listen, I tried to accommodate you. I thought, oh crap, I better see if I can get this thing hooked up. And of course, you get wonderful instructions, right? The thing comes with 17 different parts, and this is the instructions, right? And yeah, okay. What am I gonna? What was that?
I'm gonna show you.
Okay.
Since I did this mean thing to you and brought you into the modern era, I thought I'd take you back to the good old days.
Why would you do that? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
One little, two little, three little engines. 4 little, 5 little, 6 little engines. Sorry, that one was a half-breed. 7 little, 8 little, 9 little engines. 10 little engine boys.
But you know what's crazy? The only reason that's really all that, the only reason we are cackling hysterically is we know how absolutely pearl-clutchingly offended the wokesters would be at that.
Yep.
It's really not actually all that funny. I mean, it's amusing, but it's not. I mean,
This is a mild joke.
it's a very mild joke. But because of their abject hysteria, it's like,
But man,
we just need to start.
Sorry, that one was
It's
a half breed. Oh my god.
Well, that's a Western trope. I mean, that's a. I mean, that's as much of a trope as the Clint Eastwood, silent man kind of thing. That God, probably half the westerns ever made had someone who was quote a half breed.
Well, yeah.
But it's.
Well, the funny thing is, as far as half breeds go, right? The people who are the absolute best at determining what level of Indian is enough are the tribes themselves.
Yeah.
Right? Because they distribute money from the casinos based on the amount of purity of blood. And if they have cutoff points where if you're not 164th or whatever, 132nd or 116th, whatever it might be.
Well, unless you're Elizabeth Warren.
She doesn't get any tribal money.
No. She just got a job at Harvard. Speaking of stolen valor.
Yeah. But the tribe didn't do it, right? Like the tribe didn't get her the Harvard job.
The tribe's like,
Harvard was dumb enough to listen to her.
Yeah.
That was the problem there. The tribe's like, wait a minute, what the fuck?
Yeah.
The tribe's like, wait, we've got other people. We've got better Indians who could teach at Harvard and they don't have jobs.
Yeah.
Why didn't you give them something?
Yeah, I mean, she's scum. I do love it though when they actually did the genetic thing, and it turned out she was among the most whitest of people. She actually had less Indian than the average American.
Oh, she's
yeah. She's the worst. I mean, it's horrible.
Like Joe Biden is blacker than she is native.
Yeah. Stupid, arrogant, and crazy, right? I mean, it's a trifecta. It's like, wow,
man, it's just a shame we didn't get her as a president. Oh God,
darn, isn't it though? Oh, and by the way, just Joe Biden's horrible, no good, bad, terrible month. I mean, do you think the Democrats are actually going to get their big spending bill done at this point?
I don't know. It seems like, well, they've got the shutdown aversion bill.
Yeah.
That they've compromised on. I don't know if they're going to get that $3.5 trillion. And man, they're pissed off at Manchin.
Well,
because he's not going to do it. He's like, I'm too powerful I'm more powerful than anybody else in Congress.
Oh my God. Well, first of all, you can't buy the kind of good press. This is giving Manchin and Sinema.
Yeah,
I mean, you're first of all, Sinema will get reelected forever if she continues to play her cards right like this. Manchin too, and so the left doesn't have any leverage over them. So what do? They do stuff like following her into the bathroom, harassing and videoing. That I wonder about that. I suspect that doesn't play very well at all with women.
Yeah, I don't know. We could ask that anime voice actor who did it.
What?
Oh yeah, he was recording in a women's bathroom.
Oh yeah. That guy. We just shoot him instead. I mean,
yeah, right out of a cannon and into the sun.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, that harassing me is not generally the best way to get me to do what you want me to do.
No, it doesn't work on me very well either.
No, and I kind of suspect that both Manchin and Sinema are cut from the same cloth. What's fascinating,
especially when they know they hold every card.
Where's your leverage? I mean, you're throwing a tantrum, but where's your actual leverage? The other thing is too that again, I guess since they just don't teach it. Our system requires compromise to get anything done. It just does. Unless you get very, very, very lucky and wind up with an improbably high majority, like Obama had in the first 2 years of his term. Outside of that, though, you're going to have to deal.
I'm just
And
surprised that fucking Romney hasn't turned sides to help out. Like, oh God, I know Manchin won't do it, but I'll do it. I'll do it. Let me help.
Look, I yield to no man and how much I loathe and detest that piece of shit. But I'll say this. Most of Romney's rhinoism was aimed at Trump. He's not really a rhino on fiscal policy things. Most of our rhinos are fairly solid on that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
We'll see. I
well,
just
we'll see,
worry.
but well, sure. I mean, you can't trust him, right? Once somebody stabs you in the back, here I come along going, yeah, but they won't stab you in the back on these other things.
Yeah.
It's not the most compelling argument, I have to admit. But it's fascinating. The Republicans, by hook, crook, or just bald ass luck, are actually doing what they need to do, which is run the clock out. Because if you can get into 2012, these kind of massive
2022. It's 10 years later.
yeah. Well, are you sure? Because it feels like. Anyway, yeah. Sorry, but I mean, those kind
The
of
boomer
programs,
lost what decade he was in.
happens every day, actually. And yet there are people that allow me to run 9-figure deals for them. The poor bastards.
If we could just make it to 2008, that would be great.
That would be great. Yeah. Yeah, the older I get, the less the more and more I know about less and less. I already told Tori, I said, the day's going to come, and I'm embracing that day when I'll have a closet full of one color shirt and one color of pants.
Steve Jobs said that for years.
Well, it's a natural process. It's happening now. I'm now my cat now. My business suits. They're Armani suits, so they're all different, but my casual clothing are beginning to the assortment is beginning to cut down. I now basically have one style and color of casual pants that I wear, and my shirts are they're all plaid, and they're starting to coalesce around blue and red. And that's just the natural course of things. So it doesn't surprise me at all that I can't remember what year it is. But they can't do this stuff though in an election year is what I was getting at. I mean, they can, but a whole lot of this stuff is dependent upon the idea that we need enough time to pass between our lunatic stuff and the election so people will forget. And so, yeah, the Republicans need to be pulling all the stops out to push this into January. And,
Yeah, they need to get it into full on election cycle. Because once they do that, there's Manchin will hold out forever.
Well, the House too. I mean, the Democrats are already thin in the House already, and there still are.
And they lost seats. They lost seats in the whatchamacallit, the census. California lost 1 or 2. Texas gained 2. Texas up to 40.
Yeah, and Florida
Florida gained 1.
Florida gained 1, and they're going to be redistricting. I mean they're acting desperate almost in terms of we've got to get this through because this is our last best chance of getting it.
Well, and Breyer just won't die, and they're so mad. They're like, Breyer won't die. Manchin won't vote with us. We're going to lose the House.
Here's a thought. Maybe a few people would compromise. I mean, that's the thing, right? But this is what I was saying actually back during, before the election and when the election occurred, is that the emotional maturity on the left is literally about the same as a 2-year-old,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't compromise with a 2-year-old. I don't know if you noticed that, Nick, but
I've tried.
No, you either give them their way or you don't. There's nothing in between. And when they don't get their way, they don't say, "Well, I'll tell you what, Dad, if you won't give me that, I'll take something less. But give me something." No, they fall out on the floor and they throw in a wall-eyed fit. And that's what's happening on the left. If this was 10 years ago or 20 years ago, they would have crammed through about $1.5 trillion, $2 trillion deal by now. You know, and they'd be gleefully cackling about how they were going to get the rest of it next bite at the apple. But one of the problems I've been reading is that they are knife fighting even when it comes up the idea that okay, what we could compromise, they can't figure out internally what boondoggles to cut.
No, because
they
promised themselves the world.
Yeah, that's right. And we will either get the world. So it's been fascinating to watch. It really is working out kind of like I hoped it would.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it goes. I'm Kavanaugh better not die from COVID. I'm not a big fan of Kavanaugh.
No,
but
I'm not either.
He better outlive Biden.
Yeah.
And God, if Breyer better watch his back.
Yeah.
I do not. I think AOC will kill him herself.
Sotomayor is also not in great health. She's got some very, very serious health issues. I don't remember.
Well, one of them's being giant.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, it's like diabetes, and I mean, it's, you know, and so anyway, yeah, did you see Bernie? You know, Bernie Sanders is
Bernie
really
Sanders is going to live to be 136.
But he is truly the gift that keeps
Joys
on
of
giving.
socialism have kept me alive for an extra 36 years.
And I've got 2 mansions now. But okay, who on his staff said this is the tweet we need to make? 2 senators should not deny the other 48 of us.
That was so dumb.
I was like, I think you mean 52 shouldn't deny the 48.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people are shitting on him for that tweet.
Oh, and boy, right.
You know, it's some aide who made it too.
Oh, yeah.
Bernie probably hasn't even seen Twitter before.
Twitter, what's that? Is that like MySpace?
I remember that MySpace. I looked at all the... I didn't.
Is it like AOL? I got a CD in the mail. Is it that way?
Oh, God.
Did you hear about the oh God, let me see, I'm trying to summarize. Did you hear about the CEO of a public company, apparently is a gaming geek of serious caliber, anyway, got sued. The company got sued by an employee for doing all kinds of crazy, stupid shit, like, you know, sexually harassing employees, buying hookers. I mean, just the whole.
Wait, what company?
Oh crap! What was it? Give me a second here. I'll tell you. You'll have to tolerate my clicking and typing, but this one's worth looking at. I meant to send you an email and tell you about it. Anyway, let me see if I can find it. Dang it! Yeah, Servotronics is the company.
Servotronics.
Yeah, you ought to read the petitions. It's like, I don't know, 100 pages. It's an insane. I can send you a link. Well, if I can figure out how to operate, but it's the allegation. It's one of those kind of cases where, okay, it's a 104-page complaint.
This is from back in June.
Yeah, and the thing is, I can't seem to find an answer anywhere. But
okay, so the top executive at Servotronics Inc. has been placed on paid administrative leave as the Elma manufacturer conducts an internal investigation into allegations that Kenneth Turbovich sexually harassed employees and used his company expense account to pay for trips with women.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that's what you get to do as a CEO.
Well, I mean, this stuff is so crazy. It's so cliche.
Crazy. Male employees to visit brothels and strip clubs and engage with prostitutes while on business trips. He made me do it. He made me do it. It wasn't me.
Showing male employees. Yeah, I know. I mean, you know, part of me is like, I'm trying not to snark on this stuff. But Luke Gygax, Gary Gygax's son, Luke's
though, he forced Perone to attend a pagan bonding ceremony between Turbovich and a woman during a business trip to Ohio to evaluate a potential acquisition.
Nick,
You-
this shit goes on and on. It's 102 pages of this. I mean, it's the most, it's the craziest, most outlandishly cliched stuff. But my God, it's hard to imagine a company actually operating that way in this day and age, especially a public company.
yeah.
Okay, but on the other hand, this is one of those companies. You know, it was a private company. His dad was built the company, and they went public. And but he's dragged in Gary Gygax's son Luke, because Luke runs Gary Con. Luke's a great guy. I've met him a few times. A real stand up guy. And he stepped. This guy Turbo is his name. He stepped in and helped Gary Con out when they had a manager quit or something right before you think. And he's obviously quite wealthy, and got Luke a board seat on the Servotronics board of directors
Uh-huh.
as an outside director. And anyway, so this lawsuit is just dragging Luke through the mud, although Luke is not a party to it. And in the gamer universe, I've been talking to him. I said, well, this is the classic litigation tactic of humiliating people that you care about to get to use as leverage. But it would be worth your. I'm sorry I didn't send you. I meant to send you a link on that and suggest that you look at it. But this is that crazy intersection. It would appear to me, at least, that crazy intersection of ridiculously spoiled wealthy nerd.
Yeah.
And
Getting to do whatever he wants because he's
Oh,
got
yeah,
infinite money.
he's got a ton of money. Because the thing about the gaming universe is very few people have made a great living out of gaming, out of role playing gaming, wargaming. It's a friend of mine who is a senior, as an owner and a senior executive at a particular game company, has made the statement. You've heard him, that he has done that. There are more astronauts than there are people like him, people who've made a living in gaming.
Yeah.
And so you come in there, if you have even a few $1 million to your name, you are a heavyweight in that space. But anyway, but the guy was getting to live the nerd, the nerd dream, hanging out with E. Gary's son and yada yada yada. And that's some institutional investor that owns a big block of their stock. They're the ones that got him. They were unamused.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, the crazy thing. Look, if 1 in 10 of these allegations is accurate, But I was participating on Facebook and some other discussions because people were really ragging on Luke, and I was trying to explain that no, there's nothing particularly sinister about being an outside director in a company. And he received, I think, $75,000 a year for that. Well, for a public company director, that's actually fairly modest.
Man, put me on a board where I don't have to do anything.
I've always gotten some compensation from for-profit boards that I've been on, and nonprofits. Not only do you not get paid, they usually hit you up for contributions.
Which is funny because they end up making a ton of money too.
Well, yeah, that's true. I generally try to avoid being on the boards of public nonprofits. I'm on the board of several private client nonprofits. That's different. But actually, I think I'm only involved now in one nonprofit board, and they sent me a bill.
Yeah.
In fact, Ellie came in this morning and said, yes, pay it.
Yeah, get wrecked.
Well, look, at least they're making it convenient. They'll send you an invoice. But anyway, Luke Gygax has come under a fair amount of fire from gamers, and it's unfortunate because best I can tell, he didn't do anything wrong. Yeah, Ontario Knife Company is a defendant. I think that company, correct me if I'm wrong, Servotronics, are they the ones that they also make knives, or maybe Ontario Knife Company makes knives?
Well, I mean, It would make sense that the Ontario Knife Company makes knives.
Would make knives, yeah, of course. Well, I think one of their contracts is their military knife supplier or something. But anyway, it's just you ought to cover it on your show because it's just wild. I mean,
I'll have to look into it. I've just got an article about it here. It's got the 104-page complaint.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, it's like something out of a TV show. But yeah, I do remember the rituals, the bonding rituals. And I'm going, I would dismiss that as a complete fabrication, except I do know gamers. And it's just within the realm of possibility.
A pagan bonding ritual that ends up with them in a tent having sex while the guy has to stand guard sounds exactly like what gamers would do. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I have to agree. So anyway.
Irby says, show Ty that video I sent in your Discord DMs. I think it's relevant for the current discussion, but it was an older discussion. I don't know. Is this a school board one?
I've probably seen it because I've been sort of vegging out on all the.
Oh, I've seen this one. Videos. Yeah, he's the guy with like the British accent.
Oh yeah. I've seen.
It's a great video, but I've already seen it.
Yeah, me too. He's epic.
Yeah, he's good. DOG
Beerus
says Texas conservatives should start calling the new abortion law an eviction moratorium. Then the left would jump right on board. Also, Ty, how's life in the Shire?
The Shire. Wonderful. Tyler is the Shire, I guess. Yeah, it sort of works that way.
I guess. So the left was really happy for a very brief time because a federal judge put a pause on the Texas abortion law.
Yeah.
And just today, like that lasted a day. And then the appeals court came and was like, no. You don't get to shut down the whole law. You have to go through the process. You found an Austin judge. Very good.
That's
good
so cute.
Job.
That's so cute.
But no, you need to try and actually make this because it's funny. The law already went to the Supreme Court and they turned down hearing it on procedural grounds because they're like, until there's an actual process by which this comes to us, we can't hear it. And so then they tried to just bring it right back to federal court and ignore the fact that the Supreme Court already said no.
Yeah, the Fifth Circuit ain't gonna put up with that shit. They're their newest justice is actually was our Chief Justice of the Texas Supreme Court, Don Willett, and he's a good judge. I did some modest, had some very moderate involvement in his campaign. He was a good guy.
Yeah. But it's I just thought it was so funny because they were.
Have you noticed that every time bitchy liberals don't get their way, it's the worst, most horrible constitutional crisis ever?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
it's like the only thing that's happening is 100 babies a day aren't being killed in Texas. That's all that's happening right now. 100 babies are not dying. Every day.
We had protests last weekend across Texas, and there were even some in Tyler. And it's like, I don't want to get into the whole abortion thing because my views on it are fairly complicated. But I don't really care for the optics of bringing your children to a pro-abortion rally.
Doesn't make a lot of sense.
The irony meter does kind of, blow a fuse on that. But yeah, that law was brilliantly crafted and just from a technical angle. We'll see if it survives.
I don't think it's going to, but it's going to take a while for them.
Isn't there a case working its way? Isn't there a Supreme Court case coming up though that might offer the opportunity again to dispense with Roe v. Wade?
Yeah, they're hearing. They'll hear the Roe versus Wade case. I think it's either in November or December that they'll hear it. And so then we'll get
compulsive about this. It's technically Roe versus Wade is not the law anymore. It hadn't been for 30 years or 25 years.
I mean, but it does cement the right.
Right. I mean, it's a useful shorthand. The actual leading case, as you know, is Planned Parenthood v. Casey.
Right. But we'll see it's the Missouri law, I think, is the one that is challenging, is outright challenging Roe and Casey. And so we'll see what happens with that. I do not think it's going to get overturned. I really don't.
It's hard to imagine, but you never know. You never know. I mean, it should be because Roe is stupid, bad law. I mean,
and the funny thing is, if it was overturned tomorrow, the overwhelming majority of states would still have abortion on the books. No problem.
Well, I had that conversation with some folks I know, some we're pissed off about the law, and we're all overwrought about it and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, look, you do understand that all you got to do is go to Louisiana or to Oklahoma or to New Mexico, or, I mean,
Arkansas,
you know,
Nebraska.
yeah, women are always going to
Anywhere.
be able to get an abortion. Okay, it's just that the people of certain states don't have to pay for it and don't have to put up with it. Now, we can debate whether or not that's good or bad, but let's stop with the hysteria that this is going to deprive women of the ability to get an abortion. Because you think Massachusetts is going to pass an anti-abortion law, or California?
Yeah.
I just and that issue is, I will say this: I don't think the politicians on the pro-life side of this, and again, I would describe myself as mostly pro-life. I have there's some contours to that belief that might surprise some of my friends, but the thing about it is, with Roe versus Wade, the one thing the Supreme Court did do is they took the stakes off the table for the politicians. Okay. In other words, politicians, they could grandstand, they could yell, they could scream, they could, but honestly, they really couldn't do anything about it. So both sides, the politicians got what they wanted. They got the ability to speechify and to get contributions, but not really have all that much. If they boot this back to the states, now the politicians are going to have a knife fight.
Yeah.
On this issue, and that'll be interesting. I think it's the way it ought to be. I think that
let us fight over that. Let us make our laws in our states and determine what we want.
Well, the thing about federalism, one of the great strengths of federalism is that you got 50 laboratories where you can test all your brilliant theories. And and again, the Supreme Court Roe versus Wade is just spectacular. Have you read a stupider, poorer reasoned decision than Roe versus Wade?
Not from a Supreme Court.
Right. That's what I mean. There is not, I haven't either. I cannot identify a stupider opinion than Roe versus Wade. It literally sounds like they are conducting a seance with talks of emanations and penumbras, and it's like, what the actual
it's fun to remember that ultrasounds didn't exist.
Yeah.
Right. Like so these judges make this decision. They've never seen a gestating baby.
No.
I mean, that's a hard thing for people to remember, is that when this was cemented, there was a good deal of mystery about what was going on inside a uterus at the time.
And
we don't think about it now.
And here's the argument for not letting courts legislate. I mean, look, I'm at a point now where I just want to elect all judges. If they're going to be politicians and legislators, let's at least subject them to the democratic process.
The way I like the thing that I like, that the way Scalia words this type of stuff is he says that either an amendment or a Supreme Court precedent works the same way. Both of them remove the issue from the democratic process.
Right.
And he's like, that is why that was limited only to amendments, is because we want almost nothing removed from the process.
No, we do not.
People.
Yeah. Well,
so
the problem is the other side can't get their shit passed through the democratic process.
Yeah.
You notice all of these obnoxious constitutional decisions are things that the left simply could not convince. That they couldn't win it straight up, so they had to cheat. I mean, that's basically what is going on here, and they really ought to be ashamed of themselves, because it is an embarrassingly beclowning, stupid decision. And Planned Parenthood isn't a whole lot better. Planned Parenthood is basically just an absolute punt. Because
now the chat is bringing up Wickard versus Filburn as a potentially stupider case, and that is pretty close. That's the Dormant Commerce Clause.
Okay, maybe. No. Wickard doesn't have the mysticism
True. Wicker just has the idiocy.
Yeah, Wicker is stupid, but with Roe, you
Not
had
commerce
literally,
is commerce.
yeah, everything is commerce, man.
Aliens.
It's aliens. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, look, if there is one that could claim to be as stupid, yes, I agree. I'll agree, but I still think that Roe v. Wade wins out just because of the seance aspect of it. I
Yeah,
mean,
it is
you
pretty
know.
bad. Here, okay, I'm gonna start reading through these
Oh yeah, we
super
gotta.
chats. So we're gonna have to get done with them. My head's starting to swim.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
don't suffer
Jack of the
that.
Dead says, asking for prayers as we buried my aunt today. She was a legendary Austin stage manager, captain of Capital Punishment Paintball, and beloved D&D and Pathfinder player who knew Thaco easy. She was brilliant and dearly loved. Oh, man.
Here's
Cheers to you.
To your aunt. Sorry as hell, man.
Yes. Yes. I'm not drinking tonight. Sorry.
I'm drinking coffee tonight, so.
Jeremy Habor says, disappointed with Texas for letting the school shooting kid out on bond this week. Enjoy the show. Keep up the good work. I mean,
trying to find the judge in that case because a $75,000 bail seems awfully light.
$75,000 bail is awfully light, but the fact that there is a bail is not. I mean,
right?
Yeah, there was no fatalities, right?
The one kid he shot, I think, was in very serious condition, but I don't think he's died yet. Did you see the video that they took in the classroom of the beatdown? So the kid that did the shooting, they videoed him.
He got his ass worked, from what I heard.
No. He's the one administering the beating.
Oh, he did the beating.
Yes.
I thought he got his ass kicked.
It looked to me, the hairstyle in his mugshot and the hair, and he looked to me exactly like the kid that was doing the beating. Now, if I'm wrong about that, I'll retract. But I
have no idea.
That was the narrative, right? Was that he was bullied and this kind of thing. But the kid doing the beating had the same haircut as he does. Now, to be fair, the victim of the beating was covered up, and so maybe so. But yeah, you watch that video.
See if I can pull it up real quick.
It's and pull up a picture of the kid, the mugshot of the kid. A teacher got shot. A student got shot, and then of course the one he was actually trying to kill got it. Well, the problem was this doesn't fit the narrative, right? The left immediately started screeching about another mass shooting and white people with guns, and of course it turned out to be a black kid. And well, we're gonna have to memory hole that one.
I saw someone doing the whole, oh shit, it was a POC, and deleting their deleting their thing. Where
I would stop engaging with Twitter if I was that stupid.
Where is this tweet? I'm trying to find it because I found an article with it, but the article had.
Well, that was what his parents were saying, was that he was a victim of bullying. And so I watched the video and I was like, oh yeah, he's getting the crap beat out of him. And then when I saw the mugshot, I said, wait a second, he's the kid doing the beating.
Okay, here we go. I got it.
Okay.
Let's see. All this 4K video on everybody's pocket, and people still take the shittiest, grainiest videos on the planet.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Oh, this is
Damn.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's an absolute. But now pull up a picture of the kid and you're going to see the same exact haircut.
All right, that's it. No, that's him throwing hands. I saw the picture. I agree with you.
Yeah, that I was like, holy, yeah, and so that's the thing, right? The narrative. Cable saying the narrative was the guy who lost the fight got the gun. It looks very, very, very much exactly like the kid that did the shooting. It was the one administering the beating.
Yeah, but it was Yeah, I don't know. But see, the thing is, like, I get that it's a school shooting, and you don't want the guy, out. But bail is a constitutional right. Like
Hmm.
it is, and it should probably be higher than 75 grand because even around here you can get 75 grand for a drug charge. But he didn't kill anybody yet. He's
Yeah.
not charged with murder. I mean, if it's murder, and you'd expect $1 million bail or something, but
Yeah, 75,000 is awfully light,
bit low,
and I
bit
wanted
low.
to. I was curious as to who the judge was and whether it was a Republican or a Democrat.
But you can't find out who the judge is.
Well, I was actually that's one of the things I was typing and clicking on whenever I was raising hell earlier in the night because I figured we'd be talking about this.
But yeah, who knows? Trucker Rob says, "Hey, rackets, weighed myself and compared it to my last physical. Apparently, I'm down 18 pounds, but
Hey.
still fat. So here's my fat tax grift thingy." Yeah, attaboy.
Congratulations, man! 18 pounds. That's
I've lost 9 pounds from COVID.
yeah. I've got a.
I couldn't eat. I just wasn't ever hungry.
No, my COVID-19 has come back, so I'm about to get my butt back in. Anyway.
Wait, you got it again?
Oh no! I call it my COVID.
Your COVID
because of the lockdown.
From
yeah,
the lockdown.
I figured it. Yeah,
I see what you mean.
Everybody got yeah.
No, I'm over the past 10 days. I lost 9 pounds.
Yeah. I did. Well, did you lose your sense of taste?
Nope.
Okay, that's interesting.
I just didn't want to eat because I was too tired.
Yeah.
To eat.
Well, if you lose your sense of taste, you really don't want to eat.
Yeah, I've heard. Although I heard buffalo wings were really interesting.
Really?
Probably because you can't taste them, but they're just like your mouth starts burning.
The texture.
No, from the spice.
Oh, from the spice. Yeah.
Because that's not a taste response.
That's a pain.
Yeah.
That's a pain response. Interesting. Well, when mine came back fairly quickly. I know Carrie wound up with it for a long, long time. But it when it started coming back, it was really, really spicy stuff first that I could just faintly taste. In fact, I was wondering if I was imagining it. It was so. But then it just got a little bit better. But yeah. That sucked.
Yeah. I've decided to make chili tomorrow. I'm making chili, but I'm using New York strip steak instead of hamburger for it.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
I'm
gonna smoke the strip steaks.
Okay.
And then I'm going to chop them up and add them to the chili at the end. It's
my son-in-law Ryan, he loves to cook and stuff too.
Yeah, that's right.
Need to get you two together and just like say, I'll tell you what, I will finance whatever meal y'all want to cook.
There you go.
Here's my debit card. Y'all go indulge yourself. Just
Puggernaut says, had an 11-centimeter stone, had shockwave, pieces were not small enough, ended up in the ER wishing for death, had a catheter put in, did laser a week later, shockwave equals imprecise, multi-sessions laser equals requires a catheter and internal once.
11, that's more than 4 inches long.
That's a
holy crap.
That's a big kidney stone. Generalissimo says, hey, Nick, glad you survived the coof, I guess. You're at least my third or fifth favorite YouTube lawyer named Nick. Seriously, though, I bet certain Twitter folks were clinging to your SARS like a greasy 5-day Powerball ticket. Damn.
That's a vivid metaphor.
Mandy Carvicious says, just got home. Virtual hugs for Nick and Ty. Well, thank you. Stephen Cooper says, Nick doesn't have any taste to lose.
Oh.
Ouch.
Tough crowd, man.
Cuts me deep.
What have
we've
you
got
done to make him treat you so disrespectfully?
I don't know. D&D Master says, I work at an amazing local donut shop called Dunkin' Donuts. Ew. Every day, this cutie pie I speak internet language.
Uh-huh.
Comes in for a coffee. She always comes in with cuffs and other things on her waist. Not kink shaming, just kink curious. I need legal advice on how to talk to her.
Ask her her name. Ask her her name.
Her name's on her badge, Ty.
Oh. Sorry. I missed it. Sorry. Oh. Oh. I wouldn't know. I
Don't talk to cops. There you go. Audi driver says, despite all the shit the left has done over the years, they still manage to do the one thing everything knows not to do. Don't fuck with the kids. Yeah.
They just aren't smart.
Kool-Aid Man says, oh yeah, Nick, I can help cure your coof. I met a Chinese medicine woman named Poontang. She vigorously rubs a special cream on your penis and its healing power is activated by her mouth. Afterwards, she nibbles your balls like a bag of sunflower seeds. Okay.
That's a lot to pack.
Rees1 says, Nick, here's how bad Canada is. Province Saskatchewan. Under COVID-19, the government can seize any property, remove persons from property, destroy property, all without a warrant. Anything that is necessary to stall an emergency. Lotus Eaters episode 233, 1 hour, 18 minutes, 42 seconds for the source. So there you go. Crazy town. Yeah, Canada's a disaster. Stay away from it.
Funny thing, you notice the complete lack of a Second Amendment in all these places.
Yeah. No, they're just as free as the U.S., though.
I think there's a relationship. I think there's some kind of cause and effect thing going on.
Yashken says, Nick, use your community tab for a signal boost. That's the real nefarious thing about getting a community guideline strike. You can't use the community tab to tell your community that you have a guideline strike. You can't do anything on the channel at all.
Can other people post messages and stuff?
Nope.
Interesting.
Not on YouTube. On YouTube, your community tab is
they're just pricks. They're just pricks.
Yep.
God,
it's utter bullshit. And again, I didn't break the rule. That's what makes me the most mad. I didn't break the rule.
Right. Well, hopefully some rational person will get a hold of it and undo it, but it's galling.
Yeah, I'm just pretty sure it's going to take until Monday.
Yeah.
That's again, the timing really pisses me off. Waiting till right before close of business Friday. Wolvenar says, did you get the care package? It shortens this. I did, and I took my first pill. Thank you very much.
Oh, got an MRE story. We got distracted. I want to tell you just real quick. Won't take but a second. So I'm enough of an MRE nerd that I have a monthly get together with the several of my friends and their wives, and when our kids were young, our kids too. But anyways, now it's just the adults. But I actually had, and we always do dinner, right? Well, I actually served an MRE meal. I had 20. I had a full case of MREs, all 20 meals, and I had them all set out on our bar, and each couple picked an MRE. Yeah, it went over about as well as you might expect.
Yep, I can imagine. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, the women in particular were not real impressed.
I'll have the chemically cooked hot dog one.
Well, but see, the thing is, right? The menus, the description of the menus sounds like almost a gourmet meal, right? Until you pull it out, and it's in a sealed packet, and you're like, oh boy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Disgusting.
No, they're actually not bad. They're,
it depends.
For food that's going to last, 10 years or however long, they are surprisingly good. And menus vary, but they're really not bad. I mean, you're not going to confuse them with gourmet cooking either.
Red guy 123443321 says the sun produces vitamin D. Vitamin D helps prevent cancer. This makes the sun a vaccine for cancer, according to the CDC. This is unless, of course, you stay in it too long and get cancer. Logic, baby. Malik Fox.
Fair point.
Malik Foxon says USPS constantly making a better case. Certain irregularities that we can't talk about on YouTube. 100% secure and baseless. Mario Carter 13 says Styx used a clanker proxy to steal your MRE. Red Guy says, I always use the R word to talk about app delivery drivers. They can't follow basic instructions such as meet me at the door or call me on arrival. They never can. I never use app delivery stuff because we don't have it out here. But when I travel to a city and you put the little note in, they never follow it. They never follow. It's like, put a note here for any instructions. You put the note that says, I'm in this hotel room.
I'm in a hotel, so call me so I can meet you downstairs. Oh, hell no.
No. Organized Arizona Politics says, what's with the second channel? Lol. Was confused. Luckily, I'm on locals. Else, I'd have never have found it. Glad to see you back. Got to get through my Uber shift. Yeah, here's the thing. What's up with the second channel? I'll explain one last time. I got a strike on my main channel, even though I didn't violate the rules. And so I can't stream or post videos or post comments or anything on the main channel. I can't do anything to let people know that I have a strike. So that's why I tell people, follow me on locals, because if this ever happens, the announcements are always there. Pied Piper. Go ahead.
Yeah, you should play the clip of Maroney from Johnny Dangerously going, "You farting sneaky bastards."
I don't have it handy. Pied Piper says, been a bit since I watched a stream. Good to see you again. Have you heard much about Vic? Sorry if this is off topic and such. I need to follow up with Vic.
I haven't talked to him in a while either. So
he's been doing a couple different shows and appearances. And
yeah,
I kind of regret one.
You went to the Star Trek sets, didn't you?
Yep, and those just started up again.
Did they?
Yeah, they don't do them during the summer because it's too hot.
It's just it's brutally freaking hot.
Yeah.
That by the way, if you're a Trekkie, that's something you'd want to do. You fly into Jacksonville. It's like 30 or 45 minutes out of Jacksonville. The hotels, it's small towns, so the hotels are relatively inexpensive, and the sets. I mean, it really is. I think I told you one time. Vic's like, "You're gonna cry. You're gonna cry." I said, "I'm not gonna cry, Vic." Yeah, said, "You're gonna cry. It's gonna be overwhelming." I said, "Yeah, okay, whatever." So I go up there and like, wow, this is the transporter room. He goes,
Did you cry, Ty?
No, I did not. I had some dust got in my contacts, and I had to rub my eyes, but I didn't cry.
No, Vic, you're going to cry,
but
I won't.
It was a spectacle, but it really, I mean, it was just beyond cool.
It is very cool. It is very cool.
You grow. Though, I don't know about you, I was really surprised at how small the sets are. I mean, something about the way they filmed Star Trek, the sets looked so much bigger than they really are. I was very surprised by that, but yeah, it was worth every minute of it.
Yeah, it's a cool thing. I'm not even the biggest Trek guy, and it was still really cool. And Vic's knowledge of the Star Trek production is encyclopedic, and when he does the tour, it's really, really cool to learn about all of the stuff. I would recommend it.
That series of his, Star Trek Continues, they filmed it in the same style and lighting and everything as the 1960s series. It's as close to that series I think you can get. They're not fully professional actors. It's definitely a semi-pro thing, but it's incredibly respectful of the original material, and the scripts are good. The acting, Vic plays the real Captain Kirk, not the William Shatner parody that everyone sees. It's well worth watching if you're a Trekkie.
I want to go back because my parents live not terribly far from there. I mean, they're several hours from there, but
are they Trekkies at all? They might.
They grew up watching it,
Yeah. Your older uncle, I was telling him he ought to go. He and I may go next time or something. We've talked about it, but
yeah, that'd be fun. Ink Fairy Games says, had to change my game name to Fables of Fairyheim. Legends of Avalon was a potential lawsuit. Here's a hint: D20 dice pool system, combat in testing. Okay. Stegas says, "Hey Ty, have you seen the new Dune trailers with the longer scenes from the main trailer? If you have, what did you think of them?"
I am cautiously optimistic that it's going to be a good movie. You know, um, I'm probably more optimistic than I've been up to this point, but it could be really good.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
Well, you'll
We'll,
see.
we'll see. Yeah.
I'll listen to you. Silver coins go
Oh,
clink clink.
and I will go on about it too. So
I know.
yes, you're.
I'm already planning to be very busy every time you ask to go on.
I would just drink heavily. I think lots and lots of booze would be your your first line of defense.
Silver coins go clink clink says, "I love that Ty is using the term gay ops." Mr. Bentham says, "It's not about the money. It's about sending a message for YouTube. They hate what you have to say." Oh yeah. No, I know but it's stupid because they give me a person and tell me they like me, but then they don't. Winston says, "I'm going to have to catch the rewind. Now I've got to watch some Spurg Love." Oh yes. Go watch Love on the Spectrum. I'm going to watch every episode. I cannot believe they made that show.
You're putting your soul in eternal danger. I mean,
it's already gone.
You're walking a fine line.
I haven't laughed that hard. Nobody can make a comedy that real and that funny. And like, I'm not the only one laughing, right? Like the people, they're all adults, right? They're adults on the spectrum, and they're like parents and family, like are laughing, not in a mean way. They're not in a mean way, but it's funny and it's interesting. And these people are trying to find love, but they're awkward. And so it's great. Like the one guy, he's got race car sheets and his pillow says "Born to Race" on it. And it describes drifting to the camera with audible sounds. And it's the funniest thing I've ever seen.
I am not going to risk my soul. I'm just telling you, I'm not going to do it. I don't care. I don't care how much you try. You will not tempt me, demon. I will not.
When the
risk
one guy's
my soul
doing
for this,
he's doing speed dating, and he's like, asks the girl, he's like, "Well, what do you like to do?" The way he talks is so great.
Now,
like, what do you like to do?
Are they both? I mean,
no,
both
this
parties, they're Aspies, both of them. Or
not in this one. In this one, he went to a speed dating event, so he's got a couple people who are not autistic, and then he actually did. There was an autistic woman there, and they had a chat that was triple awkward, which was even better. But no, the one girl, he's like, "What do you like to do? Do you like to watch movies?" And she's like, "Yeah, I do." "What kind of movies?" The best part was he couldn't hide his facial responses, right? Like he has no poker face. So she's like,
that's devastating for
"Well, I like horror movies." And he's like, it's like, or thrillers. And he's like, "Ugh."
Oh man, how could you ever get a date if they could actually know what you were thinking?
Because he's hilarious. If I was a woman, I think this guy every time. He's so funny.
I'm just saying, but how? I mean, I just had a flash of horror at the thought of trying to date and them actually being able to know what I was thinking. Oh dear God, I would never.
Oh, it's so perfect. The show is so funny. It's it's great. I cannot believe they made it.
Somebody in the chat asked me the question if my daughters wanted to watch war movies. No, I've figured out that's one of the ways they try to cheer me up, which is so adorable. Hey Dad, you want to watch Sands of Iwo Jima? I'm doing okay, honey. You don't have to.
Next he says,
but I love you.
Next he says, "Do me a favor, Ty, and spare us the drum solo." Europa Chronicles says, according to Bongino, Merrick Garland's daughter's husband got a contract in Fairfax County to teach diversity and inclusion crap. Always follow the money. Yep.
A little bit of conflict of interest there, I would think.
Kimberly Moriarty says, "Can you talk about the keyword search warrants? How are they narrowly targeted?" I briefly talked about these. They're not narrowly targeted.
No, they're not.
That's the thing. But also, they don't need to be so narrowly targeted because they're asking for data that's held by a third party, and you don't have a right to privacy in that data because you gave it to Google, which is stupid, but that's the ruling. For a full-on discussion of it, listen to the beginning of my last stream on the other channel, and I really went into it a little bit, and I was pissed off. So it's a good explanation. It's too late for me to start it now. Corathus says, I'm late, but you're not alone. I spent 3 days with a heating pad on my back because I couldn't move at the waist. The cause? I woke up 3 days ago. Yeah, man.
Yeah. Sorry as hell.
Vienticus Prime says, I've dealt with public and private education. They're both just different types of nightmares. It's all garbage and gaslighting.
I think, sadly, I've got some bad news for a lot of parents out there. The private schools aren't terribly far behind on all this crazy shit. And in some cases, they're just as bad. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is.
Trans Roof Korean. It's because we're on the alternate channel. Because I got a strike on the other one. Yeah. My buddy, he and some other people have been building a charter school, and they've been doing it for a couple years now, and they're growing. He might be coming on to talk about charter schools as a possible alternative. Because not everybody can homeschool.
No,
it'd be great if they all could, but not everybody can. And charter schools are a way to have some school choice that's still within the quote unquote public education system, but the schools are run completely different.
My daughter, my youngest daughter was, we homeschooled her until ninth grade, I think. And so she did charter schools for nearly the whole high school experience. For various reasons, she didn't do her senior year. We went back to homeschooling, but anyway, it was a pretty much a very positive experience. The particular homeschool was a STEM school, and you had to test into it, and it was actually being run by our local university, and it was, I had to unfortunately get crossways with them, with the principal at one. Did I ever tell you that story? When I sent one of my lawyers in. Well, we had a hellish year. My mother died. We had some family disruptions. Brittany had a serious health issue. I mean, it was just like it was the year from hell.
Yeah.
And this school, counted absences. Lates were considered absences, which is stupid. I'm sorry, that's just stupid. But anyway, and Texas law does mandate that if so many absences are happening, the principal is supposed to meet with the parents and da. Okay, that's fine. Well, we get to the end of the school year. Now, school's over. I mean, and the principal calls and talks to my wife, who's a very nice person, and says, "Y'all have to come in. We have to have a meeting." And she's very, very, very obnoxious and stuff. And so I'm, and I hear my wife on the phone. So I go in and, what the hell's going on? Well, they want to talk about these apps. I said, well, okay. I mean, we can explain it. It's not, not that big a deal.
Yeah.
And so, but we had to be there like a day later at 8 a.m. Well, I had to be in federal court in Dallas that morning. So I think that's a pretty reasonable excuse for saying I can't be at the meeting. And, so I called the principal. I said, look, we need to reschedule. We can't reschedule. I mean, just real bitchy. And I said, well, wait a minute. I don't have a choice. The federal courts will put me in jail if I don't show up. I'm required to be there. Well, we just can't, and we can't pass her to the next grade. I mean, that was the deal. I said, now look, are you sure we can't? I mean, if she needs to do extra work, if she's missed a sign, we'll cooperate. I mean, I really was. I was trying to cooperate, and she popped off something. I said, you know what? I said, yeah. I said, we'll be there. I said, I won't be, but I'll send a representative. and, and I sent one. It came down to two of the Amazons. Neither of them are with us now, but they were both just mean, vicious people I would never want to mess with. And we decided to send the second one just because she would not leave a radioactive ruin of the school like the first one would. And I said, "Listen, I need you to do me a favor." Well, the thing is, my people are extremely loyal to me. I've always been humbled by that, and the idea that they were messing with me and my family, man, she learned the procedure overnight, and of course, they weren't doing it right.
Yep.
They absolutely weren't doing it right. So she shows up and says, "I'm her attorney." The principal goes, calls the university. The university has to send their lawyer over, their staff attorney. Now, he's a nice guy. Actually, I've met him a few times, but he ain't no litigator. And mine is a former federal prosecutor. And she worked them over. Anyway, we got it resolved. But, outside of that little incident, with the charter school experience was pretty good for us. But
yeah, it's interesting because depending on the different states, they're done in different ways. But in Minnesota, they get some level of public funding, but they're not run like the public schools. They can be run in different ways. But that also means you can get a shit charter school too. I mean, there are bad ones, but you have a little bit more choice. So, ASO says, "I got COVID today, even though I haven't gone outside in 2 years and just play MMOs all day and night. It's almost like COVID can generate from nothing." Damn.
I got some bad news for everybody. Everybody's going to get COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, these vaccines
it's not going anywhere.
Well, the vaccines are not vaccines. I mean, I'm not opining on the efficacy of them. By their own terms, they're not vaccines. Vaccines, up until about a month ago, were defined as they made you immune. It's now very, very clear that they don't provide immunity. They do supposedly provide for a much lighter,
a smoother experience.
Well, I mean, look, I had two of my very beloved clients that are in their early 80s, and they got vaccinated, but they got COVID anyway, and they sailed right through it. It didn't really. I mean, that's an anecdote. But I'm just afraid everybody is going to get COVID.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere, and if there are variant strains and stuff, it's a matter of time before it's a math function as to when you'll get it.
Well, and my understanding, my very limited understanding of the way these vaccines work is they're highly vulnerable to a variant because they're very, very specific in what they target. The immunity you get from having COVID is much broader. It's almost certainly going to be effective against any variant.
But everybody should listen to Fauci, because Fauci is God, and Fauci is the only one who knows how any of this works.
In a sanely ordered society.
No, in this society, because Fauci is correct in all things, Ty, because we're on YouTube.
Even when he contradicts himself.
Stop it. He never has, Ty. Stop. Fauci is correct.
I'm waiting for people to get struck because they post a video of Fauci contradicting himself.
I got struck because I agreed with Biden talking.
There you go. Yeah.
That was a different strike than this one.
Oh, by the way, have you been keeping up with all the Biden word salads?
No, I can't. I can't listen to him. He's so stupid.
Well, fortunately, Nick, I'm there for you. If you'll go to my Facebook thing, every so often I'll just do a transcript of an actual thing he said.
Oh, and I heard one the other day.
Gibbering idiot.
Someone tagged me in something the other day, and it was just like, it's like, did someone just put a bunch of like peanut butter and honey in his mouth and tell him to go talk? Like,
I think what they do is they have a big old bag with little chits, each with a word, and they just grab a handful of them and throw them down, and and that's however they come out, that's what he's going to say, because he makes no sense. But look, Biden was an idiot way before he ever became senile.
Oh
So
yeah.
we weren't starting from the best platform. But he's just an embarrassingly bad, awful, wretched, incompetent buffoon.
Let's see if I can
But
find that.
we don't have any mean tweets, so I guess that's worth it.
Yes, that's the real key. Gosh, I'm trying to see if I responded to that Biden talk because it was so good. It just made no sense.
No.
I must not have. Rats.
And the thing is, it's interesting when you listen to the idiot. He's so strident in his complete incoherence.
Yeah.
He's saying it with conviction, even when he's making absolutely no sense.
Yep. But we're not allowed to. We're not really allowed to talk about any of this stuff. That's the crazy thing. They're effectively like.
Well, they're a propaganda wing of the Democratic Party. I mean, that's what we're dealing with here, guys. And I just hope that if we do get it back, and we probably will at some point, please, let's hope that the Republicans have the balls to put these bastards down.
Yeah, we'll see. Shit Puppet says teachers here in Ontario can make almost $100,000 a year Canadian, and they still whine about everything.
Oh, they're insufferable. They're insufferably entitled. And again, nobody put a gun to your head and made you teach. If the salary is not to your liking, get a fucking real job then.
Rick the Slack-Paced Sawyer says in samurai voice, "My name is Gino Rivera. You don't know where my father is. Prepare to die." Did you see the Ninja Story, Ty?
No, I did not. I don't get the reference.
A ninja named Gino Rivera attacked a U.S. Special Forces team.
I saw the headline and I'm like, I got to read that story, but then I got distracted.
It's so good. The short story is he walks up, he goes, "Do you know who I am? Do you know who my family is?" And the guy's like, no. So then he pulls out a sword and he starts chopping, and he slashes it's the Air Force Special Forces. He chops the guy's leg and phone, and the guy retreats inside to the building to get his CO. And then the ninja from outside throws a rock through the window and clocks the CO in the head, and holds 26 soldiers hostage from outside.
Air Force personnel. Let's don't get carried away.
And they huddled up and called the police. And the police showed up and tried to use like non-lethal projectiles, but they were ineffective because he's a ninja. I don't know what they were thinking, and he couldn't be stopped. They eventually arrested him. They tased him and put him down with the taser and arrested him.
Thank God for the Coast Guard, because if the Coast Guard didn't exist, the Air Force would be the absolute butt of all the services jokes. This has not helped the Air Force.
No, I'm like, 26 of them, and there's one ninja. But he probably seemed like there were 50.
Can you imagine how much fun the Marines are having with this with this right now? Oh, God.
Oh,
of course,
God.
the Army's going, oh, thank God, somebody the Marines can work over besides us.
John Jelaine says sign language artists in black gesticulating wildly while pulling faces showed up the same time as the goof. Lone Wolf Ranger says Republicans in Arkansas are going to allow private companies to mandate injections. Thanks, Chamber. Oh yeah, Chamber. Most of these private companies, they want this. They want the government to mandate it because it's an excuse then for them to not have to. Oh well, we just gotta go. We gotta do what the government says.
Look, I had to, the question was asked. Just thinking about it. What were we going to do? Are we going to mandate it? And I said, no, we're not. And I got an immune compromised daughter, so it wasn't the easiest decision.
Oh, these were Army guys.
but they were.
They were
But they were Army
they were
tie. Well, thank God.
okay.
Because,
They were
I mean,
Army pilots, though. They're the 160th SOAR.
Okay. Oh, they were helicopter pilots, and probably. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, they probably weren't armed. I mean, look, I am not in any way. I don't mean to disrespect the Air Force. I'm just saying,
Yes,
good
you
God,
do.
no. I mean, but I mean, again, the Air Force is just, they're the butt of they're the butt of an intolerable amount of jokes anyway. But one of the funniest lines I ever heard was in a British show called Yes, Prime Minister, and the prime minister is talking to the general, the general of the British Army, the main guy, and he's like, and he's agonizing over whether or not they want to buy the Trident missile system, and the general says, we don't need it, and the minister goes, well, no, I don't want you to make a decision, but I don't think we need it. And then, oh, wait a minute, you're agreeing with me? He goes, yes, we don't need it. And he goes, well, what does the Air Force think? And the general goes, well, you could ask him if you care about the opinion of garage mechanics.
Aww.
Just no Air Force gets any respect.
No respect at all. Wrestler Town says mutual combat should be blunt weapons based on strength and skill. Gives the winning combatant time to change their mind and settle.
I'm still going to go with the smoothbore pistol. Yeah, Chad. I do not detest the Air Force at all. I wanted to be a fighter pilot.
Ty told me he hates the Air Force.
Yeah, no, he's lying sack shit.
I'm just saying he did.
I
didn't say it.
I was just chuckling at the unfortunateness of it being an Air Force thing, right? You would think the Navy would be the butt of all jokes. I think the Air Force gets the outside the Coast Guard. But anyway.
Eldon Bainling says, Ty, how much did you drink to drop exciting words? I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means.
Mike Mysterio 13 says, good evening, gents. I get to pick up my new car in about 10 hours. Ty, did you ever get that moonshine I sent with Vic for you?
No, I didn't. And I'm trying to figure out why. I don't know did he say he sent it to Vic?
Maybe Vic didn't.
Yeah, I haven't seen Vic face to face since we're on his wedding. So we've talked on the phone. So if he's got it, he's probably got it for me whenever we get back together face to face. So when I get it, I'll certainly have the
Mars Ultor says, okay, you Chuck-servative boomer. Explain how calling person A a retard insults person B's child. Just another tough guy online and a simp IRL. Yeah, Ty.
I'm not going to offend my friend's wife.
Joel Reese says, I have an annoying lawyer habit. Spams mouse click. CJ says, kidney stones. Did you try drinking warm soapy water? Wrestler Town says, Ty, if you
a man shouldn't be hassled if he's got kidney stones. That's just cruel. God almighty.
He says, Ty, if you ASMR me one more time, you're going to like what you get.
Oh,
gross.
Sorry.
Jordan Jones says, lived in Southern California for a while. It's been a journey consisting of social contract breaches and constitutional infringements without any remedy. Kidda says, my red state company got bought by corporation. Corporation is a federal contractor. Contractors are required to be 100% poked per Biden EO, unemployed on December 8th. Go for that religious exemption, brother.
Yeah.
That's the most reliable way right now.
That's a crappy situation, because when it comes to making a living, I had a client call me. He's an engineer with a tech company, and he said, they're threatening to fire us. What should I do? And I said, well, can you afford to be unemployed? He said, not really.
Religious exemption.
Yeah. Well, this is before we had a lot of clarity on that. At that time, they were saying they weren't even going to recognize that. And that sucks. That sucks when you can threaten someone's livelihood over what is turning into basically a religious crusade. And make no mistake, guys, this is all about the elites putting us in our place.
Yep.
That's where all this shit's coming from. They are so desperate to feel superior because in their heart of hearts, in the place where they don't like to look, they know that they suck and they know that they're not our equals. So
Cal Clay says, that's it. Gonna burn YouTube H quarters notified 2 hour after live. Yeah, it's fun times. Xander's Rant says, Ty, order B book guide to wokeness. I worked on it. Oh, the Babylon B book guide to
oh my
wokeness.
God, really?
Yeah.
I did not know there was such thing. I will get it after I get off this show.
Yeah.
The Babylon Bee is funnier than The Onion ever was, and The Onion in its day was hysterical.
Yeah.
Yep. They have somehow just absolutely hit it. I saw a fact for the show. It was Texas creates special lanes for men in big pickup trucks with cowboy hats. Like about damn time.
Yeah. Cal Clay says, male Playboy bunny. Hugh forced me into this outfit. Did you see the male Playboy bunny?
I heard about it, and no, for God's sakes, I do not want to see it.
I'm not going to bring it up.
I'm sitting there going, okay, you just absolutely don't care at all about making a profit, do you?
Nope.
I mean,
it's the craziest thing. Playboy is about having naked women, and Playgirl is about having naked men. And there was nothing wrong with this setup. There was nothing wrong with it at all. But and it's online. It's not like there's any production cost for any of this stuff. But they put this weird little dainty guy in a bunny suit, and that's like the new thing. It's like your audience doesn't want this.
I don't want to see that.
Yeah. That guy from that thing says, I honestly think the mother of a child should hold the rights to end their life before birth all the way up to their 18th birthday. Boom, population status controlled.
Yeah, several of my friends who had teenagers, were of the opinion that was it 32nd trimester or 50th trimester abortions ought to be allowed.
Yep. Mario Carter 13 says, it was a fiery but mostly peaceful school shooting. Mandy Carvicia says, Nick and Dr. Claw voice. I don't know. I don't remember how Dr. Claw sounded. I'll get you, fadget, next time. Jake says, what do you call an angry German? A sauerkraut.
Did you see the vaccinated badges that those darn deficient Germans came up with that are yellow and bear a rather pointed resemblance to certain other yellow badges?
Man,
I've
not seen it.
I looked at it, I went, wow, how get past the whole idiocy of having a badge to show that you've been vaccinated. But did we really want to make it look like the badge that we put concentration camp put on people we sent to concentration? I was like, Germans are just, it's just a weird ass country.
Special breed of people.
Yeah, I told you, I finally did see that Norm Macdonald. And by the way, what a bitch that he passed. But I saw his thing on Germany, and that is just hysterical.
They went to war. They chose their opponent, the world.
The world.
And they almost won.
You'd think, the world's going to win this one pretty easy. But no.
No, it was close. Bad Dragon. Oh, go ahead.
They lost, and they decided to go to war again with the world.
That's one of the funniest. God, it's perfect.
He does that dry humor so well. I don't know. I can't offhand think of any comedian that does it better.
Well, in that scene in Dirty Work when they go to the jail, and he's like talking to the fat guy. He's like, we're in prison with prisoners. You know what they do to each other in here? Like, no. He whispers in his ear. I never heard that. You never heard that? And then three guys walk up and they're like, all right, let's go. And they both stand up. He's like, not you, fatty, just you. So I was like, don't you want to take him too? Nah, come on. And then he comes out 2 seconds later. He's pulling up his pants. He's like, you know what? That's ridiculous. You know what hurts most? The lack of respect. Well, wait, No, the other thing hurt the most, but the lack of respect hurt the second most. Ridiculous. I got a mind to go to the warden about this.
Oh, I got to introduce my my son-in-law and my youngest daughter's young man to my cousin Vinny. They had never seen that. And you remember the scene when Vinny comes into the jail and the guy thinks that he's like, you're getting no matter. Great, yeah.
But if you've never seen Dirty Work or
I need
Screwed,
to. I need to.
it's like the only two movies Norm did. Dirty Work is one of the funniest movies, in my opinion, that's ever been made. I don't care what anybody says.
I always liked his humor.
Way out of line. Way out of line.
Wait, the other thing hurt more.
Yeah, well, and Dirty Work's got, it's got Chevy Chase in it. It's got Chris Farley. It's got the guy, I can't ever remember his name. He was in that movie, fucking Chances Are, I think. Used to be, he was also, you saw Happy Gilmore, right? Adam Sandler golf movie. Damn. I'm never going to think of his name.
Yeah, years ago.
Don Rickles is in it as well.
Yeah. Oh, God, Don must have been 1,000 years old.
He was. It didn't matter. He was hilarious.
Don Rickles. Yeah, no. Rickles is great.
Bad Dragonite says Nick has no taste to lose, but has plenty of smell. Rude.
Oh.
Justin Wright says, just be thankful the military got rid of the vegetable egg omelet MRE. Fed my Iraqi detainees those when they misbehaved.
There were some. I'm sure there were any number of spectacular. Before the MRE, you had the. It was the successor to the C ration, and they called they weren't the individual combat ration. I think is what they're called, cans. But lima beans and ham. I've never met a single soldier on the planet that liked those. I mean, and surveys were overwhelming that was the worst, sorriest. Nobody liked it, and yet that meal stayed. It stayed intact all the way until they developed the MREs. And hell, they
had a lot of lima beans.
Had a lot of lima beans, or some general owned a lima bean farm or something. Because that was just one of those things, one of those meals that, I mean, MREs are they're not bad, for what they are. I mean, you're eating a food that you can, put in your garage for 3 years and then go out and eat it. So you should calibrate your expectations accordingly. But yeah,
Yorick.
I was asked by the wives to never ever do an MRE dinner again, which I thought was
shocked.
I really thought that was kind of unkind.
It seems.
Never somebody was mentioning
it's a long time. Did you tell her that never's a long time?
I probably should have. Yeah, apparently the French MREs are like almost like gourmet stuff. I mean, I forgot what the exchange rate I heard was, but in Afghanistan, you'll try like eight American MREs for one French. Of course, the French meal is a 24-hour, an all-day thing. But
yeah, they sit down. The MRE's a whole table. It's like, well, we have to prepare.
Look. Here's chicken cacciatore. Here's, I mean, the menu titles are makes it sound like
we have a beef bourguignon in a demi-glace with asparagus and some croutons. Could you imagine? Oh God,
the French. Well, and I know the Italian. Seems like the Italian rations and maybe the French too. They have a small shot of liquor, and they're not in every meal. They're like in every third meal or some such. I don't know what the exact percentages are, but it's like a little 2-ounce shot of some liqueur, But
Yorick says showed up late, 9 minutes behind at 1.5 speed.
Well, someone is bitter in the chat. People who like MREs never had to live off them. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. Showed up late, 9 minutes behind at 1.5 speed, hoping Ty is still on stream. Ty, I'm an audio video expert trying to leave California. Do you have any positions available or know a court that could use better broadcasting? I sent you the cane.
Oh, well, hey, thank you. that cane was awesome. We don't. Actually, my daughter Brianna does her videos and stuff. So every court needs better video, audio, visual stuff. I would just start. I'd start. Trying to make contacts at the courthouse. Talk to court coordinators for the individual judges. I mean, if you can, go by and say, "Hey, I'm so and so," and just talk to them. I mean, they know everything that's going on in the courthouse, and they know who you need to talk to. If you've got a particular city targeted, try to be friends with some lawyers there that might get you introduced. But they all could use better audio visuals than they've got.
Mario Carter 13 says it's not the size, it's how you use it. Malik Foxon says, I hear the correct term is trekker.
That's what she didn't say. That Trekkie bullshit. It's Trekkie. It was always Trekkie. It's Trekkie. Come on.
He says you use the hard R with that one. Just be sure it's not to be confused with oh, hey, another strike. Weird. Jordan Jones says, what ramifications do you think a peaceful protesting group would face if their protests include not paying their local taxes in proration until the education system is cleaned up? Yeah, it's not going to go well for you.
Yeah. When they start putting liens on your property and your bank throws a tantrum because that violates your loan agreement. That's. Look, what you have to do is you have to run and not and unelect these pricks. I mean it's the democratic process. We have just neglected school boards, and like I said, this is going on everywhere, even in deep red areas. There were some of us back in the 80s and 90s who were saying, we shouldn't let communists raise our children, and we were ignored.
Weren't enough of you.
Well,
weren't enough of you.
The Republicans are too busy being toting up to corporate America and all that kind of stuff, and just that won't be a problem. How could it not be a problem, really? So
we have MTV. Mario Carter 13 says no one trusts Dr. Fauci more than Dr. Fauci. Malik Foxon says Japan gets wind of the El Ninja, we're done for. Yes. And I think that's it. Nope, there's one left. Bad Dragonite says Navy are homos, Army complain a lot, Marines are grunts who eat crayons, Air Force smell their own farts, and Space Force are aliens trying to understand how Earthlings operate. Fair.
Yeah.
And Mandy Carvicia says, as lawyers, have you ever been theatrical in your opening statements to the jury? I've never had to take anything to a jury trial. I've had to do plenty of opening statements before judges, but I've never had to go to jury.
No. Theatrical, no. I think you come off as phony. Unless you are actually a really good actor, in that case, you shouldn't be practicing law. You should be in Hollywood. I'm pretty cut and dry. Just these are the facts. This is what it, this is what it says. My biggest challenge is, believe it or not, I can get sarcastic, that's really not a good. Generally speaking, that's not a good thing for a jury to hear. I mean, they don't usually respond well to it. Now, I've also got a pretty wicked sense of humor, so I can, they offset a little bit. But we're going to the jury trial in 20 days on the case that we didn't successfully mediate yesterday. And actually, I'm not going to do the trial. There's another lawyer involved who, after hearing him talk, he's just going to be. It's a family law matter, and he's better at that. You want me a complicated business transaction or business dispute? I'm really good at that. But when it comes to emotion, not so good. Yeah, and yeah, I agree with the chat. Theatrics, I don't think really amuse judge or jury. No, it's just it's too easy to come off as a phony, pretentious prick.
It has to be done expertly if you're going to get any.
Yeah,
any
and it's not like lawyers need any help appearing to be pretentious.
No.
So.
No, it's just better to lay out the facts and the law. You just lay out the facts and the law and say, this is why our side wins, because of the facts and the law. But that's it. So let's wrap this up because I'm swimming in back pain.
Right now. Shit, man. Well, yeah, I feel for you, buddy.
But anyway, thanks for coming on.
Hey,
Hang out
it's
for just a
always
second.
fun. Sure.
We'll say goodbye to the chat here. Infernal Iris says they are stalling on providing federal employees with an exemption policy at my place of work. Deadlines for the pokes start this week. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. There's not much to say. Unfortunately, there's just not any way around it. In Michigan, there was a favorable ruling, but that's just in Michigan. So, Godspeed. Here, this is the only outro I got, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace. Peace.
Your Honor, I'm pretty sure we have a mistrial here, sir.
I'm gonna mistrial my foot up your ass. You don't shut up.